Apologies, folks. I think it's working now. StreamYard, Restream sometimes just doesn't do what you want it to do. I was all prepared. I was in perfect preparation for it, and then just you click on live and your audio doesn't work or your microphone doesn't work. Had a few people in there as well, so apologies that um, that we failed. Oh, there we go with the echo, echo, echo. But we're back again. Okay, we've got 2 or 3 in now. Sorry, folks. Sorry about that. I'm going to put up the StreamYard link, but I just want to talk for a couple of minutes beforehand. We had SG in, my very esteemed friend, on here. Let me just share the StreamYard link. Boom, there it is. Yeah, interesting story in the news today. Made me smile. And of course, it's directed at a certain sort of person. And it's the story of a sassy schoolgirl. She's 5 years old. And in a video on the Daily Mail, she explains why Boris Johnson is a naughty, naughty boy because of Partygate. And she goes on to say in the video that he should go to the naughty centre. Now, you can look at this story very easily and think, oh, how funny. And she's right. You know, Boris Johnson should go to the naughty centre for how he's been over the last couple of years. He's brought on a lot of criticism. You know, a lot of people have agreed with him, a few have not, maybe more than a few. But there's 2 points that I need to make with this story. And I think they're really crucial. The first point I want to make is, why do we have naughty centres in schools? Why does a 5-year-old girl know what a naughty centre is? You know, is the school, have they actually got an official naughty centre? Is it a wording issue with her that, you know, she's putting 2 words together and calling it a naughty centre? I have a 10-year-old son. I know if my son had been sent to a naughty centre in the schools that he went to in the UK before he left just over a year ago, I would have gone nuts. And whose definition of naughty are we applying, you know? Who decides what naughty is? Who decides what naughty is? That's always the question that comes into my mind. It's the same with racism. It's the same with sexism. It's the same with homophobia. Who fucking decides who or what the threshold is? Who fucking decides? Your version of sexism is probably not my version of sexism. Your version of racism is probably not mine. And I can guarantee you one thing, my version of naughty is clearly not the same as this school's. Why does a 5-year-old know about a naughty centre? What are we sending them to a naughty centre for? How naughty can a 5-year-old be? You know, I remember being sent into the corner when I was at school. I remember that to this day. I don't remember much else about school at that age. But I remember standing in the corner and I remember all the school children in the class laughing at me. I remember the embarrassment that it brought me. You know, did it damage me? Fuck knows. But I wouldn't want my son going to a naughty centre. It's about programming children early. Naughty centre. Who fucking decides who gets to go to the naughty centre? Anyway, that's on that. I did have more, but I can't remember it now. I've made a big breakfast. And then there's the second point I want to make. And that is, This is how they program you, folks. This is how they program us. This is how they get us to think in a particular way. Because we've all got views of the last 2 years. We've all got a position on how it's been handled. We've all got our own opinion. We all believe something. We all believe or don't believe other things. And I think one day in the future, the government that we've had now should be held to account. But of course, they won't be. They won't be held to account. It was a health crisis. They did what they could in a health crisis. That's how it's going to be spun. But they program us to believe that all of the mistakes and all of the errors made by our government, and I'm sorry, folks, lots of people died, their programming's now to think Boris Johnson was just naughty. Just naughty. And 5 minutes in the naughty centre will fix all the damage. Everything that they did. All the deaths, all the trauma, all the people that didn't get to see their parents, all the parents that died whilst the families couldn't be near them, all the disruption, the businesses that have collapsed, the people that have gone bankrupt, the people that have committed suicide, the people that have been damaged by it psychologically, the people who had mental health, who got worse, the thousands, the tens of thousands of care workers that are now unemployed, can't feed their families. That's all just naughty. It's all just naughty. It's nothing more than naughty. And that's what they tell you in the media. They program you to think that Boris Johnson, after all of the decisions that he made, is a naughty boy. He's a naughty boy, and he needs to spend 5 minutes in the naughty centre after the last 2 years. Programming, guys. Welcome, SG.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me.
You're only in one of my ears. I wonder what's going on there.
Well, maybe
one is enough. Oh, I've got two now. I was going to say, SG in one of my, coming in one of my ears will be more than enough for me, SG.
Exactly, yes.
If you decide to come in both of my ears, then thank you very much.
That would be what you may call naughty.
Huh? He's naughty. Boris Johnson's naughty.
Do you want to know a more explanative comment for the explanation for the word naughty?
Yes.
Useless, literally, because naughtiness there is no need for. It's like cancel culture, right? It's like somebody doing something naughty would destroy a bench built by somebody by hand in remembrance of somebody else. It'd be a useless gesture of action. Do you get me?
Yeah, I do.
Yep, that is a truly useless thing, and that would be that naughty.
Who's the naughty adjudicator? Whose job is that?
Well,
in schools, in life, in politics, who decides what naughty is? I want to know. I need to talk to that person.
Well, let's just say most people don't even really consider naughty to be naughty, though, do they? Like
I don't. SG, I've made that very, very clear. I'd go fucking nuts if my 10-year-old son had ever been put near a naughty centre. Nuts. My son's not a naughty boy, on a naughty but boys do naughty stuff.
Well, don't forget that naughty stuff. You know, the good can do evil things, and the evil can do good things.
They can, and we allow both. We sit back and watch it.
You know, one of the most satanic things is there is no good or bad things that have been done. It's all just things.
Yeah. Well, it's perspective as well. You know, your version of evil may not be mine, and your version of good may not be mine.
I know, but
I think we agree on one thing here, SG. I think we would agree on one thing here.
That
When it concerns a child, talking about naughty, I bet we both have a fair idea what naughty is.
useless, basically, doing useless things. Usually, it's against what we say, the authority. Doesn't mean it's actually naughty.
I remember I went and spoke to my son's head teacher once because one of the teachers complained about him, and he was. We got a letter. It's like a red star letter. Red star. I mean, get this: a red letter came for my son. He was 6 years old at the time. A fucking red letter. I can't remember what it was called, a red mark or a red letter. They did this thing in 1938 in Germany, 36 to 39. So I went in to see the headmaster. I was guns a-blazing, but I'm very calm. But I sat in there with him for an hour and a half. I fucking annoyed the bollocks out of him. It was all retracted. It was all retracted. Everything was retracted. I got a letter of apology from the teacher. And do you know what my son was doing? He was queuing for lunch with all of his friends. And he was doing he didn't know Fortnite. He's never been near games like that, and he still hasn't now. God bless his mother. She's good that way. He was doing a Fortnite dance that his mates had done. I don't remember what it's called, but where your arms go from side to side. And yeah, my son was reprimanded, charged, and sentenced because of that. That was naughty in a school. Wait till they find out what I did at school, SG. Fuck you, now I'm going to prison, man.
Yeah, I don't think I got caught for most of the stuff I did at school.
I didn't. I had a sweet little face when I was a child. You wouldn't have accused me of anything. Tried to burn down the school once. I was about 2.5 miles away from the school in some
I was
forest.
laughing while the school was burning, but I had nothing to do with it.
I'm the fire starter.
Absolutely. How about this? I absolutely spoke to the two people who we saw going from the rear of the school building, like 20 seconds after it was on fire. Right, and they were seen leaving. So they got the blame.
Is this a real thing? Can I Google this in the news?
No. No. They got the blame though. But they didn't do it. They claimed. I spoke to him later. Well, the one, and they were like, "Yeah, we were just walking from behind the school at the wrong time and got blamed for everything."
Yeah.
And that's the way it can go.
This is how the world works, isn't it? I've heard many real life stories.
People who haven't had cupcakes are going to get blamed for the whole cupcake fever that's been going around and making people want cupcakes.
When it's those that don't eat cupcakes that are to blame.
They're the ones to blame. They're not even interested in cupcakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Isn't it madness? But in the chat, there's people here in the chat. If anyone's got children, what's naughty? What's a naughty centre? I want to know what a naughty centre is. I'm half inclined, without looking like some kind of pedophile stalker, to ring up the school involved and ask them what a naughty centre is, and I'm gonna record it and make a video of it because I want to know what a naughty centre is. Do you have any information on naughty centres, SG?
I don't know what that is.
Sounds horrible. Sounds rather what's the word? Bolshevik.
Bolshevik.
It's maybe a naughty centre is like a gulag for the under 16s or something.
Oh shit.
But I read it this morning and it's just enraged me. I genuinely want to find out what a naughty centre is.
Yeah, but you see, I don't know what to say. Naughty centre. Would you get sent there?
Did you see
like the gulag, like you say, like the gulag?
Yeah.
You'll be in the naughty centre. They'll be conditioning you to take orders. Is that some kind of weird thing then, Rita? Is there like some teacher with authority to send them to the naughty centre walking around like some kind of Hitler?
Well, I want to know what goes on in the naughty centre,
I don't even want to know, but you know what? If people being sent there, then I suppose it would be a good idea.
Is it something I need
to
to
find
be
out.
aware of? I'm trying to find out if that's so it's not come up on the screen. Do you know what? These things just work. Oh, there it is. Right, there we go. Boris told by a young girl he's naughty, and he went to the naughty centre. I think in the video she says he should go. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. But yeah, he went to the naughty centre to apologise for the lockdown party. But this is programming. Am I wrong here? This is programming, isn't it, SG?
Mm-hmm.
They're telling us Boris, whilst all the things he did, because he's a funny character, a bit of a clown, wears a suit which is 2 sizes too big for him. We should forget about it. Just been a bit naughty. Let's forget all the deaths, all of the people that committed suicide. Suicide rates gone through the roof. Bankruptcy has gone through the roof. Marriage, divorce rates have nearly sort of quadrupled. You know, people are not very happy. But yeah, Boris is just naughty.
He is naughty.
Can I just point something out here? These people are governments. These are experts. These people are paid to look after our welfare. They fucking knew what would
And
cause damage.
they're not
They
only paid,
fucking
they are
knew what would
expected
work.
to do that damn job.
They knew what would work. They knew what the downsides would be. They could have easily, the money they spent on it, they could have easily just protected those who needed protecting and allowed us all to still carry on in a very controlled manner. They could have socially distanced the bollocks out of the rest of us. They could have masked the bollocks out of the rest of us and just protected those who needed protecting, very much like they did in Sweden. You know, they knew. SG, come on, fuck's sake. If you're running a country and a pandemic comes along, I think by now you'd have a fair idea how to handle it based on their mistakes. But you would have had a fair idea before as well, surely.
I suppose.
It doesn't take a bright man to work.
I try not to
This has
expect
been proven.
anything.
You know, it's not. Hey, Anarchy, whoring your site on here. I shall regret the day I ever modded up Anarchy. Look at him.
I did the same thing, you know, when you join and you just sit there and you don't click comments, so you can't read anyone's comments. And I forgot that. Hello again, Mariti. Sorry for not getting back to you there. And Glue Sniffer, yeah.
So there was a big issue, SG. Where have you been? You've been.
What do you mean?
I know you've
I've been on.
flitting around like a butterfly, mating with all of the beautiful flowers.
Yeah.
But
Well, I suppose that's the question, isn't it? You know,
where have you been?
And the only thing I've got to say about that is,
We value your point around here. We value your words. They were meaningful words. We thank you for them as well.
I'd say I was just, you know, taking a note.
Sassy schoolgirl explains why Boris Johnson is naughty because of Partygate. Now, why are we calling a 5-year-old girl sassy? I don't think I'm mistaken in thinking
weird.
sassy
that is weird.
is a reference to a loose woman, a woman of a lesser character. Sassy can also be used for a woman who's bold and brash, but sassy has a sexual sort of undertone to it, which it's probably not the right word to use to describe a schoolgirl of 5 years old. Don't we live in troubling times, SG?
Troubling. You know, sometimes words just don't come up to the needed explanative points that they have, you know, that they can give.
Well, what I worry about is people read these articles where Boris is pointed out by a 5-year-old sassy schoolgirl that he's naughty, and those people that read these stories will say that to somebody else in passing during the day. And what it does is it almost affirms to both of those people that naughty is the correct word to describe his actions, decisions, and so on over the last 2 years. Let's not forget some of those decisions were financial and cost multiple billions of pounds, which your children and my children and everyone else's children will be paying for the next 75 years at least. It's not a coincidence
maybe longer than that.
Yeah, well, it's not a coincidence that we only just got out of paying for the last war and all of the reparations about 3 years ago. All of those debts were finally cleared, literally 75 years afterwards. That's why I went for the 75. There was a reference. Maybe someone would have picked up on it. And it's no coincidence that now, I mean, the UK is not paying these massive debts off anymore. But lo and behold, here we are. Bit of a sniffle comes along, and we are again. We are again. I wonder how expensive cupcakes have been compared to World War II. I mean, be a nice cupcake at that kind of price, wouldn't it, SG? Be a lovely cupcake. I would want to taste that cupcake.
I'd expect that cupcake to blow my fucking mind. Sorry,
exactly. Not just your mind. For that kind of money, you can get other bits blown on your body as well.
My goddamn soul, mate.
So yeah, it's my fear that people will now just generally, the general consensus will be that Boris was naughty. Boris was naughty, but let's all move on now. Let's not worry about the political side of things. Let's not worry about government. Let's not worry about all of the decisions that were made, shite or otherwise. Well, shite or shite. And let's just crack on. Naughty Boris. Let's give him another chance. At a time when it looks like he's going to be evicted, at a time when his popularity is very low, at a time when Labour, which fills me with dread, is rising in popularity. I don't normally do these hard-hitting issues, SG. You'll be aware of that. I'm more for the lefts, you know me. So how are you, SG? I asked you before, and I think I started rambling again. When are lies back, man?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What lie? It all. Have you had it removed from your brain? Have you been neuralized?
What lies? What are you talking about?
Have you been neuralized? Do you know what I think it was? Your 55-hour epic live stream.
Neuralized.
Neuralized, that's what I said.
No, neuralized.
Have you been neuralized then? I think your 55-hour epic live stream with all of those
53, but
hard-hitting activists on there has got the government quaking in its boots, and all it's had to do is send the men in black round to you and neuralive you. That's what I think it is.
Well, let's just say I've had a few things going on. I've still got a few things going on, but I've had a few things going on. Also, sleep has been a big part of trying to feel better, and that has been kind of on and off.
Not got that in hand yet.
No, well, never do, but I wanted it in hand to a certain degree.
Was that a sexy joke there, SG?
No. Not that I knew of. I hadn't thought about that, to be honest.
Notice how I missed that one. You're making people hungry.
Yeah, I've just changed it.
I
did just change it, yeah. Well, I don't know why they were getting hungry, because, I don't even like cupcakes, just anyway, right?
I do.
And that one had blood and pouring from it and on it and in it. And it also had broken glass as the frosting.
I think you're overthinking this. I think that was just raspberry juice and a little bit of clear icing on top.
No.
Maybe you're falling for the old trick of just seeing bad in everything.
Harvested.
This is not the boogeyman you're looking for, as what's his name said in Star Wars. These are not the boogeymen you're looking for. And he waves his hand. Now that's exactly what's going on with this story. This is not the boogeyman you're
These are
looking
not the
for.
boogeymen you're looking for. These
Yeah.
are just
Get back.
incompetent
Yeah.
battles.
Get back down those tunnels looking for those trapped children.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch,
the
cattle are being slaughtered.
They certainly are, man. Well, they've been slaughtered already,
I'm sorry, are we allowed to talk about this? I'm quite concerned about what we're actually allowed to talk about.
Well,
we're talking about farmers slaughtering cattle, or like cupcakes, or I don't know, anything.
Well, the simple fact is slaughtering does happen. I'm sure there's a slaughterers convention online through Zoom now ever since cupcakes were introduced. So they have to do it online. So if they're talking about slaughtering, we can. It's free speech or free expression still exists in this country to a certain degree. But anyway, let's move on from my little thing there because it's a non-story, really. I hope not many people are programmed for
I've
it.
been trying to chill out, to be honest. It's sometimes kind of gets under your skin, under your nails, under your eyelids, in the brain.
Do you have an interesting
drill?
Do you have an interesting dichotomy with it, though? It's healing as well as harming.
Yeah, there's a few things, isn't there? That we do, but it is usually healing. Except the problem is, like, do you feel that most of the time you're just preaching to the choir as opposed to, having the choir sing to the masses?
That's really interesting. You should say that. That's really interesting.
Have you had that feeling, though?
Well, it's something that occurred to me probably yesterday. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to work out to myself for no particular reason what people are interested in. And the streams get a little bit of interest, and there's sometimes 30, 40 people in there, which is a fair sort of crowd. It can get interesting. There's lots of nice interactions in the chat, but I do think to myself, what kind of things would people want to listen to? And it's interesting you say that because people do want those places. People do want those places. And I think they want those places more so than opposing places. You only have to look at the Queen of Freedom's first explosive, hard-hitting debates program to see that.
Well, yeah, that is part of the reason why I'm even on YouTube.
To get your voice heard.
Well, no, I'm on YouTube because, I'd made a couple of audit videos because I wanted to test it. I didn't really think about putting them up until I was like, well, I suppose it's a good idea to, if I've done some. And then
okay.
And then Buzz was talking about the corruption and the things that were happening at the time, going on around the world, like that's been going on for the last 2 years. And then that's when I decided, well, this is a phone-in. I've never seen a phone-in on a YouTube thing, on a, StreamYard or whatever. I'm going to phone in and I'm going to have my say.
Wow.
And that's what I did. And I was his first caller. And, it went from there.
And did you go on to be contentious? Did you go on to be agreeable?
I just said my own shit, which wasn't really being said. Most people agreed with me, not everyone. But then, I was told I was a good caller and so forth, and I was a bit passionate, maybe, and a bit conspiracy theorist, maybe. And then, that loses you some.
Did you imagine a few people listening going?
Yeah, a few, I imagine, that you're like, hold on, it's all gone conspiracy now.
You let the cuckoo out.
Yeah, and then, I joined some live streams and then eventually, here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. Like, what is it? Like 9 months later, birthed.
birthed.
And I
So what do you
thought it was
want?
going to be 9 months and we were going to be somewhere else. So really, we're not doing as bad as I thought.
So if you had to choose one and you had to have one for the rest of your life, which would you choose? Would it be an echo chamber or a chamber of argument?
Huh. Well, most of my life I've had a freaking echo chamber. I like my echo. But I
Echo.
don't want it forever.
Echo.
So I would have to choose the other one.
See?
Yeah.
I would too. And I'd love it.
Mm.
I don't always look for echo chambers, I sort of, but they're reassuring, they're comforting, they give you that little bit of warmth. It's nice to have your own thoughts and feelings reevaluated and validated almost by other people. Not that it's necessary. I don't promote validation. I think validation is a very unhealthy approach to life, But yeah, I'd like a mix of both. But if I really had to choose, it would be that chamber of argument. But it would be done in an ordered manner. Because you know how much that winds people up, SG.
Yeah, and I've got to say though, people don't wake up very easily, though, do they?
No, they don't.
It's like waking the goddamn people in the Matrix
Yeah, you'd be with all the weirdos
by knocking
in
on their door in the Matrix. That's not going to wake them up, is it? They need that whole frequency blocker.
Yeah,
and then they need to be grabbed in the real life.
They do, but some
And
people
that's
don't
not
want
where we
to be.
are.
People don't want to be woken up. They
This is,
don't see
yeah,
it.
the way we go about our lives, like it's like that dream. Nobody wants to wake up. They just want it to carry on. No, don't wake me up. I'm on the way to work. I haven't got time for that. I don't need to be told that, Boris is nasty or naughty or even evil.
Well, are we the
Leave me
suckers
be, leave
for?
me be. I just want to go to work. I want to be a happy bee. Sorry.
Well, are we? No, don't apologise. Are we the suckers for worrying about it? Are we the suckers for fucking spending time to talk about
I
it?
have been talking about people, including which is myself, who put the weight of the world on their shoulders.
Yeah.
And I swear, in the last year and a half, I've gone goddamn grey worrying about this shit. And I worried about it all before, but now it's right in our faces, isn't it? Every day we see how far our world is going down the proverbial shit chute.
Yeah. But there's bigger things to worry about. Those as well, the shit shoot
Well,
bit,
even bigger
but
than those, yeah.
Can you afford to put food on the table? Can you afford to pay the
Yeah,
bills?
I know.
Are you working hard enough to make your life just that little bit better?
No,
Maybe
it
a
doesn't seem
holiday
to be
would be
lately.
helpful.
Yeah.
That
Holiday? What are
wasn't
you
a
talking
question
about,
directed at
holiday?
you. It was a no. It was a
That'd be
rhetorical
nice.
question, SG.
Oh no, I didn't think that. But that'd be nice, wouldn't
SG,
it? Holiday. Oh, wow.
SG, you carry on your YouTube journey, and I assure you, sir, you'll be holding your lives from a whorehouse in Thailand within the year. Promise. You
No, thank
have
you.
my
I can't
word
speak
on
Thai.
this.
I
You
wouldn't
have
like.
my word. Fame and fortune is just around the corner.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So yeah, it's important to worry about the big stuff. It's important to be aware. It's important to see it's happening, but concentrate on the small stuff, guys. Concentrate on the things that really matter to you. If there truly is a meteor heading towards Earth right now, which is the size of Prestatyn, then still worry about the stuff that's important to you, because until it hits your well-being, your health, your sort of eating patterns, your child's well-being is far more important than anything else. Once the meteors hit, then we might have to deal with something else. Prestatyn's not that big a town, is it?
Like Prestatyn.
I don't know why I picked on Prestatyn.
Yeah. I mean, it's just up the road from Rill. And that's
Yes.
the real world.
I like Rill. I like it all around there. Spent a fair amount of time. One of my ex girlfriend's father owned a little campsite up there, so we used to go for a few weeks in the summer. Lovely place, lovely place. Very dramatic coastline, the scenery along the north of Wales. Very dramatic. You've got the Tarka Trail as well, which is the cycling route.
The Otter.
The Otter, which takes you all the way down to, I think, is it what's it called? It's kind of the halfway down the coast of Wales. See, we should have Andrew J in here, our Wales correspondent. He could have told us.
Yeah.
So yeah, beautiful part of the place.
So I've been just trying to chill out. To be honest, I'd love to go for a drive in Wales. I haven't been for years.
Yeah, it's beautiful country. Beautiful country.
Like I say, I've had a few things to do, but I have tried to chill out and do some things that as well.
Yeah, I get that. I sometimes have a day and a half away from this because I have to, really. I think at the moment
total unplug, and then have a listen, and then have a join of a panel, and then off again, have an unplug.
Yeah. Pop in, pop out.
That's what you said.
Any more thoughts on? I know you've spoken before about incorporating your taxi into your YouTube.
Yeah.
Life.
My problem is, basically, I want it to get it checked over. Basically, I want to give it an MOT almost,
right?
Even though it doesn't need one, because I don't trust the goddamn MOT I got.
Well, there are very stringent rules when it comes to MOTs.
Because I used to work in an MOT centre, so now and again things used to come up, and I've MOT'd obviously lots of cars, but some of them were classic, as you might say, or retro, and did the work myself. So I would need to know what the hell, was needed.
Doesn't that imply that you might have a fair knowledge of whether your vehicle is MOT worthy or not?
Yeah, a couple of things came up, and it was like, well, they should have been passed through the MOT, and maybe they were working, and now they're not because they were bodged, because people do bodge them, and things last like a short amount of time, But on the day, it was good.
Is there a specific MOT for an active taxi?
It's not all I can say is yes. For a London cab, right? They have the MOTs every 6 months, yeah, and it's basically a more stringent inspection for the taxis. Now, that's not specifically an MOT, but it is a test that has to be made. Very often.
And I would assume a large part of the differences are passenger related, safety passenger related.
Obviously, it's all because of that reason, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, when you're dealing with the public, the rules tend to heighten, don't they? Quite rightly so as well. We wouldn't want to get into something which was unsafe. Hey, Jason, if you want to pop in, Jason, I'm on for about another 20 minutes, half an hour. Come and join me and SG.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I've been messing around with the synthesizer just for some fun.
Are you a fan of Jean-Michel Jarre?
I am.
I'll tell you a story about Jean-Michel Jarre.
Go on then. Let us hear it. Jean-Michel Jarre.
Jean-Michel Jarre. I've been a fan of Jean-Michel Jarre since I was a boy. I was introduced to it by one of my friend's dad. First heard Oxygen. Maybe I was 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, Oxygen, yeah. Oxygen.
Yeah, oxygen.
Oxygen 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Well, yeah, they've done these variants, haven't
I
they?
know. Yeah.
And yeah. Hello, Jason. I'll tell you this story another time because it's a real long one, but it's an interesting one.
Morning, guys.
Morning,
Hey, Jason. How you doing, man?
Hold on,
Good,
is it
mate.
morning? I thought it was night.
What the hell, mate? I'm surprised you know what it is, mate.
What? Hold on a minute. What's going on? Morning. I don't get it. I would swear it was night time.
This is
For
why it was
USG,
important for
one
you to
day
come on.
blends into the next, mate.
Exactly. Yeah. Actually does, you know.
I get to the point, man. You literally, especially, it's getting a bit better now, but there was a time when, what day is it today? Does it fucking matter? It's COVID.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Is it the weekend? Who gives a fuck? Nothing to do anyway.
It was of no consequence, was it?
No.
I wonder. I
It
often
was
wonder.
never of any consequence except for the consequences created.
Jason, whatever happens in life, when it's highlighted, when it's advertised or made a movie of it always makes me question. I always come up with a question. And my question for that, and I agree with you, each day blended into the rest. I always thought to myself, is this deliberate? Is this to program us to see just every day as the same?
Well, the subliminals were there, weren't they? I mean, it did cause it affected us in that way. So yeah, it must have been, I suppose.
Yeah, to sort of sensitize us to a Sunday, you know, desensitize us to the habitual sort of routines we would have for a Saturday. You know, it is have a shower, clean your nuts, make sure your hair's gone, put a bit of lippy on, and go out clubbing. Well, you can't do that anymore, or
Well,
at
the
least
point is,
SG
most
can't do
people-
that
I'm glad you
anymore.
said clean your nuts.
Most people weren't even getting dressed, were they? Let's be fair, man. A lot of people were just
No.
living in pajamas 24/7.
Exactly. On a
I've
Zoom call.
heard that people weren't even living in that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It got like I'd like to think that my defences against this programming are pretty decent, you know, and it got me like that. So I can imagine it got a lot of people.
Well, you just fall into a habit, don't
And
you?
don't forget, everyone on television doing social distancing and stuff like that. Everyone's, oh, look, everyone's doing it. We've got to do it as well. That means you've got to stay away from me.
Yeah.
Deirdre.
I made a point of going to a drive-in Starbucks 3 times a day just to help me to get out and do something. It gave me some sort of routine because
mine was McDonald's. I'd literally go and walk around the car park. You wasn't allowed anywhere in the store, and I'd have a coffee and walk around the car park with a friend for an hour. You know, just chatting.
You had to do something, didn't you, to keep fucking sane? I think.
Of course you did. You had to hold on desperately to normalcy.
Mm.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God I had a car, but I have to say, I kept mine going enough for the battery to not die. You know, but some people didn't even use their cars enough, and their batteries went dead.
It's funny you should
not
say that.
Not only dead, but they ruined their batteries.
Yeah, they decays 3 times. Last year, I had a flat battery when I went out to the car. You know, just because I'd left it for so long. My fault, really. Should have went out on those days. You know, but and it's newish car as well. It's relatively new.
The first lockdown. Do you remember how quiet the roads were?
Oh, I loved it.
It was. I don't know. I didn't like it. I found it was fucking eerie.
Yes, it was. But I like that whole zombie apocalypse scenario.
That's exactly what it was like, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like The Walking Dead, or it was like The Day of the Triffids. I used to like that as well. It was like that. Nobody around.
The last man on earth.
Yeah, Legend. I Am Legend.
I Am Legend.
Yeah, we spoke about that. Yeah. The Omega Man with Charlton Heston was the original.
Of course.
And that's coming up for another remake or something. Because I Am Legend was different in the end.
I guarantee you it'll be a woman in the
you
role.
Know COVID's over now, though, guys, didn't you? It's done.
COVID was over the moment it started.
Of course it is. You can see them rolling it back, can't you, Jason? See all the signs.
Over the moment it was started. COVID was over the moment it was started. COVID was over the moment it was started. Oh, sorry.
I had a 4-hour chat yesterday with
you trying to get my channel shut?
I had
Oh
a
my God,
4-hour
no.
chat yesterday with Joker. Who else was there? Wingnut, Master Ron, and it was a backstage chat. You know, where you're not live, but
I didn't
you're
hear
just,
that.
Okay.
and yeah, some of the stuff that was coming out there. You know, we were putting all the joining
I
the
bet it was
dots.
no holds barred. You know, the
It was
government's
good.
still recording you, don't you?
Yeah, but at least it wasn't out. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
anyway.
They infiltrate any digital signal, which is
Yeah, of course.
yeah. So, but yeah, what you don't do is come across the constraints
Don't
or
do
rules
it.
of YouTube.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we just
which I
decided it's
don't know
done.
that what they are now. I don't know
So
what the new rules of YouTube are. I was having a look last night and I couldn't.
no
really...
more 55-hour long streams. They've
What do you mean
banned
no
them.
more then?
Yeah, they said you can only do 54.
Don't burn the
Maximum
cans. Don't burn the
a
cans.
maximum of 1 hour per time.
I want to know the real thing.
Do you know what? I don't think it matters on the rules, mate. If they want to ban you, they will. That's it, really.
Yeah, well, I know, and I know already most of my videos are probably going to have to be taken down anyway because I've broken the rules previously. But for some reason, I wasn't interesting enough. But the day I would be, then I would be gone. You know.
Would you go to another platform?
I'd be going to another platform as well. Anyway. That's the way. Platforms, and I'll still
Most
be
people
here.
have four backup channels, mate.
I've got a couple of backup channels here. But now I actually have a channel. I never expected to have a channel, you see, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I set mine up yesterday, to be fair.
Good.
I'm ready to roll now.
I look forward to the
yeah.
freedom of being able to say what I want on your channel, Jason.
Yes,
like I want on my own.
Mate, the value to me would be so small that I wouldn't care. Literally.
What do you plan to do with it?
Probably chat backstream without having everything running.
Yeah, like when
like
we
we
saying.
did yesterday. Yeah, I'm not interested in growing it any more than maybe 20 subs of people that I speak to regularly, and then get them all in the panel, drop the live, and just sit back in StreamYards and chat.
Yeah, and then drop your guts. I mean, the drop a mic.
Yeah, pretty much.
So how wild did it get on the StreamYard chat that you had?
Not overly wild. It was just nice to be able to speak and know that you're speaking to just 4 people.
Yeah, I saw some of that. Yeah, it was actually being broadcast, especially when you were talking about the. I'm only joking, of course.
Yeah. But the clever thing was, if you wanted, he left the link in the comments. So if you wanted to join and get into backstage, you could have.
Wow,
Nice,
I knew nothing about this. I'd have loved to have listened in.
I didn't know it actually happened. I heard you guys talking about it, but
yeah, it was. He left the link in the actual comments, so he'd shut the stream down, and the comment was there with the link in it.
I was listening, but couldn't do anything about it. Looking, and reading.
Yeah, it wasn't anything more than we normally speak about, to be honest.
I know.
It was
just, I bet. But the thing is, you can actually talk about it.
Yeah,
you can just use the normal words without having to talk about bakery products.
Exactly that, I think. Yeah, you just relaxed a little bit more, that's all.
I mean, if we did used like the word dildo instead of, cupcake,
you'd be in less trouble.
And we'd certainly probably have entertained a lot more people at the time. Even though it's pretty entertaining with cupcakes.
Well, there's many uses for the word dildo when it comes to
Don't use
cupcakes.
that. Don't use that though. That's not a good idea though, really, is it? Because I'll be laughing so much, I won't be able to talk. I don't think.
And to think it all started from your terrible ET joke.
It started with ET, eh? Oh, the terrible joke. Yeah, I know.
ET.
That was awful, by the way. I've got to say,
it's the worst. It's one of the worst jokes ever.
That's one of his better ones, Jason.
But yeah, you see, I revel in bad jokes.
Yeah. SG, You know this, Jason. SG always said he wanted to be a comedian to all of his friends and family. And well, I can tell you now, they're not laughing now.
Nah, didn't go well.
I'll tell you a joke, right, but promise you won't laugh.
Go on, give it a go.
No, you see, you didn't get it, did you? I said, promise you won't laugh, and you were like, okay. Well, how's that then? How's that nice? Said you wouldn't laugh when I said a joke.
I heard a great joke recently, SG.
Mm-hmm.
Say knock knock.
No, that's my favourite. You can't do that to me. No, yeah, you must admit that is a good one, even though people don't get it.
Yeah, it's a mind bender, isn't it?
Mm. But you asked me. But why am I asking you? But if I'm asking you, that means I've got to actually know something, and I don't. Why don't I know something?
It's almost an IQ tester.
It is.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, it's certainly
some people.
No, one person answered properly lately. But there isn't any prize. No prize allowed.
Social storyteller has just said, come on, Vince, that was the Joker's joke. Well, the Joker, we don't call the Joker anymore. He is now renamed to Shorty.
I actually do Joker impressions,
Our Joker their Joker?
No, you mean Joker?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's Joker, not Joker.
Yes, I'm aware of that. But Joker kind of falls off the tongue easier. Let's hear your Joker impression.
No, I didn't say I was going to do one.
What I meant was it going to be a very deep Scottish accent, or was it?
No, it was going to be my version of the Mark Hamill Joker of Batman animated movies, because he's the best.
Does he play Joker in the animated ones?
He plays Joker in the animated ones. Yeah.
Wow, well, man's got to work, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mark of course. Hamill.
He's been doing voices for a long time.
Okay, I wasn't aware of
voice work. A lot of it. He played Chucky in the new Child's Play. The AI Chucky.
Really?
Yeah, but he said he just wanted to play it like he knew Chucky, and then they were like, "Yes, we want a different Chucky," and then he's like, "Oh no!" So he did something different, and he did what they wanted.
And did you watch it?
Yeah, I've seen that.
I mean, I know an actor is encouraged to find himself within the part, but if you're portraying a sort of a 2.5 foot high plastic doll
that
picks up knives.
Is this fun? That was one of my favorite bits in that new movie.
How much acting skill is required?
Well,
really?
Well, let's just say, and we know this for a fact, when something in a movie has a voice and the voice is done badly,
you notice.
Oh, you notice more sometimes because you are given less, you see. So you have to give it more attention, whatever you get.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe you're right. Jason, can I ask you a question?
Go for it,
mate. What's a naughty centre?
What's a what?
What's a naughty centre?
As in naughty, NAUGHT?
Yeah. What is a naughty centre? There's a news story today running that a 5-year-old schoolgirl who was described as sassy schoolgirl had Boris Johnson visit the school, and the little girl was interviewed, and she said, I'll quote her, "He is naughty and he went to the naughty centre." So is there young Jasons running about?
So let me get something first. So she was talking about. Who was she actually talking about?
She was talking in relation to Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson went to the naughty centre.
Well, she said Boris Johnson should go to the naughty centre for the lockdown party he had.
Okay. The only thing I can put that down to is it's going to be one of two things. It's going to be something that she's made up in her own mind where she feels that naughty people should go.
That's what I thought.
Or it could be they have a class for the naughty kids at school. They normally call it something learning. It's like learning difficulty centre. So maybe it's something that they call a naughty centre as kids at school, and they've abbreviated it.
Doesn't that sound horrific to you?
Well, it does, yeah. It's not great.
As an adult, would you want to be sent to the naughty centre, Jason, for your behaviour or thinking?
Well, we may be soon. They're building them.
Well, this is the point I'm kind of getting at, you know. Naughty centre. Why does a 5-year-old know what a naughty centre is? Why do they have naughty centres for 5-year-olds?
Why don't we know what a naughty centre is as well?
Yeah, I've considered ringing the school, Jason, to find out what a naughty centre is in their words and recording it and make a video of it.
I'm just checking what this naughty centre is.
Oh, my name,
tell me.
J.R. Hartley.
If you don't tell me, I won't know. Okay.
I might end up there and photograph the naughty centre, you know.
I'd be careful doing that nowadays.
Well, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I was warned many times before. You're right. Anyway, I've got injunctions on that, so I'm not allowed near the schools anyway. Clip that, fucker. I'm not allowed near the schools. Clip that, bad boys.
You know something I thought about, right, was, all this... It suddenly came out that everybody was using this expression, stay safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've spoken about it.
Yeah.
It just came out from nowhere, didn't it? All of a sudden, everyone's telling everyone to stay safe. Yeah. It used to grind on me, mate. I used to get it made me feel sick hearing people saying it.
Yeah. I used to stay safe before they used to say that. I used to do it before they ever told me.
Stay safe, mate. I got it off a few things adapted. I kind of went, it's an adaptation, you know, like Mick Vicker used to say, be lucky.
Be lucky.
Yeah, and it's kind of like
safe and all that. But I remember back in the day it would get spoken about, but you only ever heard it once in a blue moon. But in the last 2 years, it became the punchline. You know, it was almost.
Do you know where it used to came? The first kind of came from me was people used to say it when you'd be driving home from the pub, but they used to say it because I think people would be drunk back in the day, way back.
In other words, don't get tugged.
Yeah, right, and don't crash or don't obviously hurt yourself on the way home.
Well, there was three stays, wasn't there? Stay safe was one. 2 up for grabs yet? Anyone get them?
Stay home.
Stay alert. Stay safe, stay home, stay alert.
Clunk click every trip.
And
that was Jimmy Savile. Again. That was Jimmy Savile.
What are they fucking warning us of that we need to stay alert for? Why didn't they say stay alert for cancer? That kills horrifically. Why aren't they saying stay alert when crossing the road? Getting run over and killed is horrific.
It's like, I have to admit,
stay alert.
What was it? Robbie Williams did that advert. He said if men took the same amount of time, or just a fraction of the time that they take looking at women and look at their own balls, they might notice a lump.
Yeah. Do you check your balls regularly, SG?
That wasn't the question, but
no, it's just popped into my mind.
I would say not regular, but it does. It's something that, like, if you crush
anyone else,
doesn't it?
Yeah, if you accidentally constrict them, it's worth checking if you haven't caused a bubble of some sort.
How can you accidentally constrict your balls, SG? Let's go deeper on this.
If you sit
talking
down
about
wrongly
sex
and you don't know,
SG.
if you, I can answer this easily. If you sit down right and you've constricted yourself, you don't even know for ages, do you? Sometimes
if you
you've
catch
actually
one,
done that.
If you catch one on the edge of the chair or something.
Oh no! If you like slide off the chair, you mean? Oh my goodness!
Depends. Well, yeah, it's an age thing as well, isn't it? When you're young, they're not anywhere near the chair, but as you get older, they tend to be. There's the sort of one hanging down either leg of the chair as you sit there eating your dinner in your underpants. You know,
I might think you may need to get them
Come on,
checked.
guys. It's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you might need to get them checked, mate.
Like 2 snooker balls in an old sock. If anyone's eating their breakfast, I apologise. But yeah, naughty centre. Who gets to decide what's naughty, Jason? Who is it?
I would think it'd be an adjudicator of some sort.
Who's the boss of naughty? You know, who decides? Who's deciding for children what naughty is?
Yeah, it's worrying. Shit. It is worrying.
Yes, it is. But I think the whole idea of the news article, Jason, was to disavow Boris of any responsibility because what he did was naughty, not illegal, not damaging, not tragic to many people, just naughty. That's the predictive programming of today. Boris is naughty.
Did anyone see yesterday where he was on the news and he was like a scolded schoolboy with his head down?
No, tell us more.
Oh, who was it? I forget who it was now. Who's that? Who's that? Bloody, it's 9 in the morning. My head's not thinking straight. Who's the person who interviews all these politicians? The political.
What's her name? Something Kunis. What's her name? SG, you'll know.
I've no idea.
You know the one who does it for? I think she does it for Sky. She's the official.
The woman.
She also got banned, didn't she, for going to that party for a while? Do you remember?
Well, yeah, she's out of it still. She's not back, is she?
Yeah, she's been back a while, mate. What's her name? Can anyone in chat give me her name? Because it drives me fucking mad.
She fucked off abroad, didn't she? Somewhere in Africa for a while.
No, it wasn't her. That was the other one. Wasn't that Kay Burley?
Yeah, Kay Burley. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, well, it was the other one, the strange-looking one with the dark black hair. She's always reporting outside number 10.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. Is it Anna Kunis or something like that?
Mila Kunis?
I can't remember. But anyway, she was interviewing him, mate, and it was like the interview went like a naughty schoolboy, and his head was down, and yeah, it was almost like he has given up.
Do you remember what the line of questioning was?
Just the party. It was the normal bullshit that they're talking about. They didn't add anything to it.
I wonder if they're going to use this eventually to get rid of him. Not get rid of him, but release him from the pressure.
Already, mate. It looked like it was the last knock-ins.
He doesn't go anywhere until they decide. It's nothing to do with us or pressure, political or otherwise. We know that.
They were saying to him, "Are you going to resign?" And all he kept saying to is, "We're going to leave it down to this lady that's doing the whatever her name is." I'm not very good at all this politics and news, but yeah, the person who's running all the investigation. But now they're actually trying to discredit her as well. She's getting a lot of fucking flack.
Yeah, because she was at one of the parties. She quit that about a week and a half ago. It was found out she was at one of the parties.
I watched the news this morning, and it was all about discrediting her.
I imagine being the one to investigate all the illegal parties at number 10 when you're actually there getting pissed up and doing karaoke.
Yeah, I think she's too close to them as well. I mean, all they keep saying is, yeah, you can trust her. You know, she works with them, but you can still trust her. Don't worry.
Yeah, she's going to have an unbiased view on everything.
Oh yeah, of course she is.
Well, Boris has looked like a hostage now for the last 2 years. I'm sure they're holding one of his dogs hostage somewhere under gunpoint with a video camera on it and saying, literally, read this or the dog gets it. That's my impression for the last 2 years with Boris. He's increasingly looks under pressure and stumbles everything. He was bad enough before, but he's worse now. Who have we got? We've got a guest coming in. Brace
I've
yourself,
just
guys.
noticed all these legends in the chat. You got Wingnut there. You got Joker there. What they do
My
sitting in chat,
milkshake
mate?
brings all the boys to the yard, Jason.
Yeah, they are. The big guns are coming in.
I'm gonna bring in the biggest gun I know, Joker.
Oh, here we go.
Good morning.
Joe, give it your best, man. Go on, slaughter them.
I think Boris is brilliant, I think he's great. I think you're all doing what mainstream media has told you to do, and that treat Boris like a naughty boy for doing exactly what you did.
Joe, he's done nothing wrong, man. He's just a naughty boy. Forget about the suicides. Forget about the fucking bankruptcy. Forget about the billions of pounds it's cost. He's just a naughty boy, and you, as an intelligent man, have nothing to argue that point. Try it.
I don't think he's not. I don't think he's been naughty at all. I think he didn't break the rules. I think he didn't break the law. And I also think that any of you who did comply, more fool you.
Absolutely.
Because you complied to something that we all agree was bullshit. And Bojo told you this is going to happen, that's going to happen, but here's your out. Here's your out for what I've just been told to tell you. Now, remembering that Bojo came out and we had a bit good news, when he was in that big factory with the white coat on, the big yellow hat. And it was only Channel 4. It was only Channel 4 that showed you the beginning of that interview. And at the beginning, he said, they don't want me to tell you this. Now, granted, I did think, who the fuck is they?
Who is they?
Because you're the man, top man, I believe. So who the fuck is they?
Yeah.
They say a lot, but they don't put their name to it.
Well, the media tells us who they are. It's the government. It's the only people they hold to account. So they are the government, aren't they, Joe? They are the government.
They are people. Exactly. That's the other thing.
They're the only they we're ever going to see.
Yeah, of course. But, I mean, we now have a situation where Mr. Cummings is telling you that Boris is bad, but Mr. Cummings went to check his eyesight where they make your vaccine. But listen, Mr. Cummings has no conflict of interest there at all, does he? Absolutely zero, because it's Mr. Cummings that's got the charges of against humanity, technically, because he was the man that was given all the advice, and the man who was, checking his eyesight at GlaxoSmithKline's headquarters, where there's actually 3 headquarters in that Bernard Castle, guys. 3 headquarters there. Yeah. Not just 1, not 2, but 3. So maybe that's why he checked his eyesight, Ken. 3rd time lucky, eh? The 3rd office he went into to get his direction, shall we call it, from GlaxoSmithKline, who happens to be Mr. Whitty's Mr. Whitty's money.
One thing you do if you're in a government permission, Joe, a government position, even if you work just for the civil service, say you work in a job centre or something like that, what's the one thing you have to do when you leave that position, willingly or otherwise?
Keep your mouth shut.
You sign a non-disclosure agreement. You do not breathe a word of anything ever again. And Cummings doesn't seem to be that silent.
It doesn't.
He would have most definitely signed an NDA.
My only problem with Cummings is he should have come out earlier about this shit. Like you say.
We already know an NDA. We already know NDAs know what worth the paper it's printed on in courts anymore.
Doesn't matter. He wouldn't break the rules on it. No,
but you don't normally sign that at the end. You normally sign that at the start.
The people that did Me Too broke the rules, guys.
Yeah.
Do you not see the correlation? Because the NDAs don't matter anymore, because if it's in public interest, it's gone.
My point is not that an NDA would hold legal water. My point is that it's all theatre.
No, of course it's all theatre. I mean, Mr. Cummings went to school with him. They all went to school together.
Yeah.
I mean,
they probably played with the same pig's head.
Of course, I mean, it's like you said earlier on, who reports on these people, yeah? Well, it used to be that Scottish Tory guy that used to be a reporter who was dancing in the Aberdeen nightclub not that long ago. I can't remember his name, but he was a reporter.
Yes.
He used to work for
Yeah.
Scotland Today. If I remember correctly, that, what's his name again? Michael
I can't
Gove.
remember his name.
Michael Gove.
Yeah.
He's a politician. He's a politician that was he used to do like Scotland on Sunday, do the politician type thing. He used to do that stuff, all the interviews, be the guy on the ground. I mean, that was his job, eh? But he also was part of those penguin suits on the Eton chairs, steps. Sorry, they all were Boris, Gove, Osborne, Cameron. Or there's about 9 of them. They're all sitting there in their penguin suits. They all went to school together. The exact same thing as Scotland.
To be honest, if we got a prime minister in and like they came out dressed like the Joker and started talking like them, then that'd be more believable. To be honest, for most people, wouldn't it?
It probably would, but it'd be more believable that than believing Steer Karma than anybody else is going to do anything different or anything else.
I like that.
Something I've always found interesting is how Boris has sought to replicate or portray Winston Churchill. I think that's the most deliberate thing I've ever seen in politics.
Yeah, I do too.
And also at the same time, if you remember, quite a few years ago, well, for many, many years, Winston Churchill was considered a hero of the country. And only recently, in the last 2 years, have they started to denigrate the man. His
no one's
speeches have been
perfect, but you can't take away what the good things they did,
And I wonder if whatever they publish now about Winston Churchill is a sort of a very shrewd way of portraying Boris Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
It's how they play with us, Joe, isn't it? That's how they program us. EastEnders has been successful in ruining relationships. Politics has been successful in ruining our lifestyles.
Yeah, but it's science, yeah. I mean, what they say about Winston Churchill, I don't think it's very fair, if I'm honest.
You don't see it as a Scotsman. You wouldn't see it, Joe.
I've got a picture of Winston Churchill full size on my wall. I thought Winston Churchill was a legend.
But Boris goes for the same Greek quotes as Winston Churchill do. He goes for the same little anecdotes as Winston Churchill used to. He's bumbling. Yeah. Winston Churchill was bumbling. There's stark similarities. Winston Churchill never wore a suit that fit him. Boris the same.
I've always said that Boris isn't as people think Boris is stupid, but he's not. It's an act. It's an act. It's an act that he's utilised as a child to hide his eccentricness. He utilises that to hide his eccentricness. Yeah, and he's utilised it all his life as more than likely as a buffer zone between his mind and people's perceptions.
Yeah.
And he likes to hide there as a buffoon. So when you least expect it, he pulls that rug for right underneath your feet and you didn't see it coming because he's 55. I think it's amazing that the guy who has had the best COVID death rates in care homes in every home nation in this country, he has outperformed every home nation in this country, and he's the worst guy now. He's the worst guy
from the ones that didn't participate, Joe. Apart from those who didn't enter the cupcake games,
This is the puppet scapegoat system of blame.
That's exactly what we have right now. We're all giving Bojo all of the venom that we have, right? Because COVID killed your granny, or COVID didn't let you see your granny before she died, or whatever else, right? There's various reasons, and I'm not saying that any of these reasons are wrong. I'm not saying that any of these reasons are ill calculated in people's heads, but he wasn't in control of all these restrictions. You were all told it was the World Health Organization and SAGE. He had to take information, and if he had ignored all the information that he was given, you'd all be bitching about that right now. If if he didn't actually say the words that they told him to say as specialists, experts, consultants. Now, remember, when you go to hospital, it's a consultant who gets paid the most, and he's the one that actually fixes your shit. Everything's set up. Well, everything's been set up in a way for one, plausible deniability, and to just pin the blame on anybody. Whereas all the blame realistically has to go on those who made these computer models and kept using the same models that were wrong, and those who just willy-nilly went along and told everybody, including the Prime Minister, you need to do this. You need to utilise the Public Health Act 2010 as amended and obliterate everything. But it is the same reason why you got told at the start that COVID was there and Nicola Sturgeon hid it for everybody. Nightgate.
Mm.
At the end of the day, Bojo told you so. January, York, my government in Scotland, is devolved. They hid it until like March and let CCCP, delegates who brought it to Edinburgh for the night conference, just off Lothian Road at the European Conference Centre. Yeah, in between Haymarket and Lothian Road, and they never tracked and traced them. They left them. They let them go everywhere, and they also then turned around and said, "Patient confidentiality. We can't give you the Chinese names." Well, I'm sorry. Patient confidentiality for somebody who doesn't stay here is overridden by the Public Health Act 2010 that Boris utilised to tell everybody.
But they were absolutely right. They couldn't have done it with us either when they were tracking us around for having cupcakes or wanting to buy cupcakes. They couldn't do it. It was all illegal acts.
Yep.
This whole tracking bollocks. If you were tracked, guys, if you were tracked down or rang without giving your details, they broke the law. Take them to court.
Yep. You're entitled to pay out. You're entitled to pay out.
Exactly.
Simple as that. Don't listen.
That's one of the most important things
bollocks
about auditing. It's been showing that procedures are not followed by people in authority, and when that happens, wrongs have been made, and they need to be righted. And there's a process.
As Joe likes to say a lot, they make the fucking rules. We get to exploit.
They got to keep to the fucking rules, then.
Yeah. Well, they do, but they tell us there's a tweak to it here, but they can't do it. Make it law, and I'll stick to it.
Well, yeah. When a law is unjust, then it's actually you're not supposed to follow it, right? When I say unjust, there are some laws which can't be changed. Yeah,
shouldn't be changed.
Shouldn't be changed and won't be changed because they're not being changed, but they are ignored or non-enforced currently, and there's no answer as to why these areas are silent.
Yeah,
there's just silence.
That doesn't fit what their plan is, though. That's why it's quiet.
Yeah, but nobody really seems to be saying anything about it,
I think you're right.
There's a couple of areas that are, people in certain areas are quoting Nuremberg Treaty rules and stuff. But, I've mentioned there's many, each country has their own that happened after World War II. They made them, and there's also the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, things like that.
Yeah,
these can't be changed. These can't be broken either. But they're not being enforced. Right, that's the problem.
But if you look at it, why that is, that's because
police
officers are policy enforcement, and they get given policy direction and which policy to enforce and which policy not to enforce. Whereas a constable, he kind of works for us in a corporation, and he's only there to stop property value getting demolished or assaults. It's like, if you look at what the police job is now, right? Do you know that it's no longer the police's job to protect your child? Do you know that's been took out of their remit?
It never was.
Well, it was given as part of the remit for the, no bodily harm or no property value.
No. Protect your child.
No. What I mean is, it's always been our job as parents to protect our child, right? Yeah. But it used to be, right, like for example, right, if somebody had done something, right, yeah, and just say they'd shouted at your Wayne or whatever, right, yeah, and you had went out at that point and said, "The fuck are you shouting at your cunt?" Right? And if somebody had phoned the police at that point, wouldn't you? Right? It would have turned up and went, "Well, it's a civil matter. You shouldn't have been shouting at his Wayne, mate." You know what I mean? Right? Whereas now, it's not the case now, if that makes sense. Yeah? They're policy enforcers. They're not there for the law. Yeah? It used to be that in the past, they were there for, property damage and for, like, loss, harm. Yeah? That's what I meant by, you know what I mean? Because if somebody had done something to child that had any harm, they would follow that up, right? Nowadays, they're like, "Oh, I didn't like something about that individual. It might not be really good for us to go and speak to that individual about whatever's happened." You know, that's what I mean. They're not there following the laws. They're not there protecting the individuals anymore. All they're there for now is property damage and monetary value. That's it. No human.
What's the age? What's the age at which a child is subject to laws? What's the age at which a child is subject to concern by the police, by their actions? There used to be a stipulated age.
It used to be 13-year-old. Yeah. The age of criminal responsibility.
Before then, it was nothing to do with the police. But now I've heard of stories of police going into schools because a 7-year-old said something and they've talked to that child.
Yeah.
What the fuck are the police doing? Talking to a 7-year-old child.
In Scotland, they can talk to that 7-year-old child without the parent's consent, without the parent knowing, and do it all in school.
For hate laws.
Yeah,
hate laws. Law. Fucking mad. Crazy world.
We've allowed laws to be manipulated, or at least the concept of a law. And we've allowed that to happen from the 80s onward, when they started bringing in more acts of parliament, more legislation. In Scotland, it was Labour that did it. The 10 years that they had in power, they made 10,000 new offences in Scots law.
Yeah.
You know, the SNP are no better, because if we take 6.5 years, when they were on their own, they implemented civil law into criminal law, which technically tries to forcefully consent every act of parliament against the sons and daughters of Scotland. And that actually made behind the reason about 167,000 laws in 6.5 years. But, so they're all at it. They're all the same. There is no difference. They are two wings of the same bird. We are claw and a leg as the smaller parties like Lib Dem and the SNP. There is no difference. They all work together. They're all in the same Queen's Privy Council. They all sit and converse on how they're going to shaft me and you.
I prefer to shorten the SNP to the Communist Party. Well, it rolls off the tongue.
It does. But Scottish Tories sounds better. Tartan Tories sounds better, because that's what they are. I wouldn't go as far as communist. That's a little bit too far. That's veering a wee bit more towards the Labour side of the market. Yeah. But they're more like Scottish Tories or Tartan Tories, if I'm honest. They're
in on communism.
Indeed.
Political communism, at least.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Nicola Sturgeon's group had a Vietnam group, didn't it, on WhatsApp? It got leaked a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I got kicked off of Twitter the same day, the day after it got leaked on the Monday. I did ask on the Sunday every hour, on the hour, 2 questions. Alternatively, WhatsApp and WhatsApp with that. And then on the Monday morning, about 10 when I went back and checked, I wasn't kicked off. I wasn't banned. I was disabled. But that disabled for answer any of your emails, and you just didn't get an answer. You just can't go on. And that's to entice you into making a new account, right? Because the minute they catch you with a second account after you have disabled account, instant ban, instant dismissal. They can just keep whacking more on you every time. That's why they do it.
Yeah.
Which is also the reason I'm not back on Twitter, because there's no point, because they'll just get you within a couple of months and zap you again.
Censorship is real, folks.
We don't want to get zapped, but it's going to happen.
It's not that. It's
the thing is, when you get zapped, you got to get up again. Nothing's going to keep us down, No,
I just didn't do it because there's other platforms, and two, like, what's the point in making? Like, I've never seen the point in making two accounts up. I've never seen the point in that. It's too much hard work for me. Yeah, it's 2 passwords you've got to remember. I can hardly remember the first one. You know what I mean? But when you do stuff like that, it's easier to track you. It's easier to see these things, and all the terms and conditions say that at any point they choose, they could just kick you off straight away. No questions
They
asked.
know where you are, Joe. They know who you are. They know what you're using.
Of course they do. They know
foolish to think not going on an email server or a HTTP server is going to protect you from being.
No. I don't think it's going to protect me at all. Right. What I'm saying is, I don't give them the. If I went back onto Twitter, right? Yeah, they could just quite easily zap me quite easily again. Yeah. Right. You know what I mean? So what's the point? Give them.
They don't want to find you, Joe. They can find you very easily conventionally. They're not looking for you online. They're looking for your thoughts. They're looking for your opinion.
We're all in that book, mate.
You go to the Naughty Centre. Joe, you go to the Naughty Centre when your opinions are not what they're looking for.
The non-compliers book.
Joe is not who we've been looking for.
So this is not the Joker you're looking for. So on that question, on that statement rather, Joe, what is a Naughty Centre, please?
The Naughty Centre? I don't know. I mean, I've never heard anything called that before. I've heard the Naughty Step, but I'm assuming the Naughty Centre would be HMP Edinburgh.
Think more of a what age was the person who said this, Vincent?
There's a news story today in the news, Daily Mail. There's a video online, and it's Boris Johnson is told by a young girl. Now, they describe this young girl as a sassy schoolgirl. She's 5 years old. Sassy schoolgirl says, yeah, it's wrong. But Boris is naughty, and he went to the Naughty Centre to apologise for the lockdown parties. So what's the Naughty Centre, Joe?
Parliament. Is it Parliament?
Well, how does a 5-year-old know what a Naughty Centre is? Why does a school have a Naughty Centre in the first place?
This is true. The Naughty Centre's there, I believe, in school anyway, is because keep to the left, do as you're told, don't ask questions, or I'll ridicule you in front of everybody, basically.
Yeah. I don't know if you have children, Joe, but if you had children, you found out your child had been sent to the Naughty Centre at 5 years old, how would you feel?
I probably would have been into school and says, "What the fuck are you doing? You don't punish my child."
I'd demolish that school. I'd demolish that school.
Well, the thing is, you agree to everything that happens at school when you allow them to go to school. So we should be stopping sending them to school, full stop.
You do, and you can circumnavigate that though, SG. Anything you sign as follows: capital Charlie dot capital Victor dot your signature, capital Charlie dot capital Victor dot. And that means in a legal sense, which is perfect because lawful gets overridden by legal, as we would see. Yeah.
I've mentioned that before. That's under duress.
It means you're signing under duress. It means they cannot take anything with that signature any other way apart from you were terrorised into signing it.
Exactly.
And the way you get away with doing it, right, is that I've done it with a building society, so I've done it for the building society rules. Yeah? You're not getting in my account. You're not getting a look in my account. You're not getting a freeze my account. You're not letting me do fuck all because of how I signed it. Because the building society says you need to sign that, we won't give you an account. I says fine. So I signed it the way I signed things like that. Hey, if I have to sign some terms and conditions before I open an account, well, that's a form of terrorism, isn't it? So you sign it under duress, and they've not got a legal leg to stand on for anything. I've actually had fines back for the court system, but I got fined, yeah, and I signed it, and then I claimed it back,
yeah,
because it was unlawfully took. I only lost the money for like 8 weeks, but I paid the fine, and then I claimed it back because it was taken unlawfully. Because if you don't pay it, they'll come round and tell you there's a warrant, but there is no warrant. There is no warrant at all, or they would have it. So you to and fro with them, conversation. I'd record it if I was you. I did. And then you'll even get them as they're trying to explain it to you. You ask them questions, Ken, about its lawful state. You know, acts not being law, and given the power of law, they'll hit you with what the citation says, the summons. If you do not turn up, we may. And you say, yeah, well, it didn't say if you don't turn up, we will. It says we may. I was requested to go, and if I turn up, that's consenting at the first point. Yeah, you know. And at which point they'll threaten you, and that's perfect. Then let them threaten you, then pay the fine, sign the form, and then claim it back.
That's the game they set out. You've stuck to the rules, Joe. They set out the game like that. You stuck to the rules, and the end result was what it was.
Yeah, I need some of that info. By the way, I need to get used to that. I don't pay my water, but they still hound me. But I don't pay
I get hounded for gas and electric, guys. But I don't pay it. I just say no. I get checked a credit chasing people and all that. And their job is actually to phone you up and see if you're willing to pay.
Yeah, I don't speak to them.
You know, no, I speak to them. I don't. There's no point because like my energy company won't speak to me, right? They just won't speak to you, right? My energy company want my mobile number to verify who I am, even though they don't have my mobile number. So they're data mining, not verification process. And when you bring that up, they won't speak to you. They literally they hang up on you and all that. I've got tons of recorded phone calls with my energy companies over this stuff. You know, at the end of the day, same as Rich Burns, Grosvenor. I've been through them all, every one of them. And I've been took to court twice. I'll not get took to court a third time because it'll set a legal precedent, and none of these will pay gas and electric again.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I said to my water company, I said, okay, so the process is what you're going to send this bill to a debt collection type of thing, you know, a bailiff, and they went yes, and I went yeah, but that's not a court bailiff though. No, and it was like, so I also know that I wouldn't go custodial for non-payment of water. That doesn't exist, and they're like right, and I go okay, and I also know that you cannot cut me off. And they're like, yes. And I goes, do you rip then? Yeah. The best one I used was with one of the people that had bought it. I can't remember who it was. So I phoned them up, gave the account number over, and they says, right, so what do you want to say about this? I says, thanks for paying my debt for me. Thanks. I went, what? I went, thanks for paying my debt. I said, I didn't consent to that to Parliament, but clearly the debtor did, and you did. Because you have to, because you're a business person should. But I don't. I can either consent or no consent. So thanks for paying my debt. Yeah, thanks. You've just paid all my debt off. That's great. That's perfect. You bought it. Thank you. You bought it cheaper than what I could have paid for it as well. Thanks. Great. Thanks for paying my debt. And that's the end of it. They then returned it. They returned it the next day. They were like, what? I went, aye, well, the law said you could buy it. But the law doesn't say I need to fucking consent to paying it once you've bought it. You've just paid my debt off. If I go to Scottish Power, they will say I don't owe them a penny because you've now bought it. Thanks. And then they realise they want to get a penny out of me and they returned it.
But you'll be aware when the parameters are different, won't you, Joe? You'll be aware when people make those decisions just to pay those bills. And that's when you have more skin in the game. If you have children, if you live in an area where you don't want people to sort of see bailiffs on your door, if you have a business, you know, you've got to have, this is the thing with government, you've got to have skin in the game.
Bailiffs at the door. Bailiffs at the door.
And I had a long and protracted conversation with Peter Pope about freedom, and he says how imprisoned he was in this world, how we're slaves, and we're not. You can choose, Joe. Your option is to opt out even more if you wish, and then you're free of everything. You wouldn't even get a letter, you know.
Yeah, of course, but you have to look at. I mean, I kind of understand where Peter's coming from. I've not heard all of Peter's stuff, but I'm assuming, because I've heard quite a few common law things.
He's using Universal Commercial Code as the process to actually hold them in treason or contempt.
I don't know that much of it. All I know is acts on the law. They're only given the power of the law when consented by the government. You're governed by consent, you're policed by consent, even treasonous May told you. So if you don't consent, there's fuck all they can do, apart from terrorise you.
With policing, it's different. You can't opt out of a police charge. You can't opt out of an arrest.
Yeah, but
You are allowed to, whether you like it or not, right? You're allowed to resist that arrest peacefully.
Yeah, but
right?
that's an
And generally
offence
what
in
that means is
itself.
lifting your hands up, using shrugging tactics, and for lack of a better word, like maybe jiu-jitsu, using the police officer's perpetual motion. You know,
Jiu-jitsu.
well,
Steady on, Joe.
that's using their perpetual motion as a defence tactic. There is
Of
not
course.
really any offensive in jiu-jitsu. It's 100% defence, right? It just gets utilised into throws and whatnot. Now, I've did this, and I never got charged with police assault. And you all would have seen it a good number of years ago when you got told that a certain ramp, the taxi ramp at the Edinburgh Waverley during the festival a few years ago, yeah, that was me. Because I wouldn't take a mask off during the festival in the train station because I didn't have to, because it wasn't illegal. And I don't care if somebody thinks
the
it's legal.
irony of that nowadays.
Yeah, that is ironic. Because, of course, as well, I made a point of this, that masks weren't illegal many times before suddenly we had to wear masks. But, you know, you couldn't wear a freaking helmet in a shop. But now you can go in fully...
Yeah. Well, it was a social issue, you know. It was considered menacing.
It's not just because of that, actually. It's because the IRA utilised balaclavas and it all actually came in effect once they actually took on those kids at the railway station in Darlington, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So that was when the IRA bombed fuck at us and killed loads of us in that conflict.
Didn't they ban the use of balaclavas in Northern Ireland for a while?
They did indeed. They did indeed. That was the only right we really lost in the mainland. Was not wearing a balaclava in the summer. You know, when you look at the war on terror after that, with Tony Blair and all that kind of stuff, the next war on terror they went to go and masquerade with, we lost all the rights, everything. Yeah. All the problems we experience right now stem from them.
That, of course.
Yeah. Because of when Robin Cook said, I'm resigning because war on terror is a big lie and I ain't signing that shit.
Yeah.
And then he ended up dead.
Yeah, and it went through.
Yeah, it went through the next day, or the same day, when he resigned and walked out of the chambers. Everybody cheered, clapped, sat down, voted it through. You know? And the same system that they utilised then and made up then, it's the same system that Tony Blair never got charged with war crimes. Because it was a Scottish police force that got that complaint. They then contacted his local constabulary at the time, where that offence happened, which would have been the City of London, and they went, "Nah, that's business here."
Why would they charge him with a war crime when they changed the interpretation of what a war criminal was before they went ahead with that war? You can't be charged for something which isn't illegal.
Was it Tony Blair? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony Blair changed the law so that he couldn't be held liable for his choices in that.
Yeah. They also changed the definition of terrorism, so I don't have to pay fines anymore.
Yeah.
Somebody changed the definition
of
terrorism.
Real terrorists are the goddamn governments.
Well, the government's own definition of terrorism says that they're a terrorist.
Yeah.
Something who pushes forward their own political aims, right, with fear of bad things happening if you don't follow.
Yeah.
That's terrorism.
But they're very careful when they write these terrorism laws because they have to be aware of their own behaviour. They cannot write a law which in some way will highlight or be highlighted that they're engaging in the future. They tread very carefully around these laws. This is why the police crimes and sentencing and courts bill has been delayed, because there's lots of errors in there.
Yep, and also because it's now coming out and everybody's starting to realise that they've redefined the word gain of function so it didn't be bad.
Yeah.
Well, he actually changed the word. Yeah, changed the word so it wouldn't be noticed. I think it's also.
So I mean, but these are all legislative tactics, policy tactics,
and the most obvious one. I know we all know this, but they changed the definition of pandemic just very conveniently before we suffered in living history another pandemic.
We changed the definition of a human being in Scotland.
Well, that's probably rightly so, Joe. You know, I'm not anti-Scottish, but you know,
No, that's not what I
but
meant.
they weren't wrong. They weren't wrong. Come on.
That was you slipped that one in. Just ever so calmly. That almost went past me there because your tone didn't change.
I know. This is why I'm not very funny in real life, because my humour is very subtle. Nobody gets it.
They told me it's autistic because my tone doesn't change, Vincent. So don't worry.
How did they change the definition of a human?
They changed it. The definition of human has always been male, man, woman, male, female. Yeah. In Scotland, we now have a non-binary human in law, which I'm not too
But
sure.
they still include man and woman, though, in the
They
definition.
still include man and woman. There's now 3 definitions.
So they
There's not-
amended it.
You know, definition of 2, eh? You know what I mean?
So they amended it.
Well, aye, but like I'm not too sure if they did it in like they seem to be like kind of like you know, like you've got to be polite and all that, the SNP and that kind of stuff, kind of like almost like kind of leftish, right? For all the pronouns and the box tickers, yeah, right,
Yeah.
But if you're a non-binary human, right, yeah, and if we take binary humans as a 0 and a 1, right, yeah, right. And if you're a non-binary human, does that mean you're no for this planet?
Well, you're no longer part of the human race. What's the definition of the human race? You know, go look in your history books, go look in your encyclopedias of what a human is. Go and look. It states it very clearly. It's a man or a woman. So
That's it,
yes,
that's it.
they're defining
There is no
non-binary as
descriptive term.
non-human.
Yeah, there's no descriptive terms. If you look at the definition of a dog, it will literally say 4-legged creature, waggy tail.
Exactly. It's very
There's a
specific.
descriptive. It's very specific. There's descriptiveness on every terminology apart from human. Human is just man, woman, male, female.
Yeah.
That's it. That is
Yeah.
it, right? But I mean, obviously, I'm cracking a bit of a joke.
Human's a monster, isn't it?
Say it again.
Human is a monster, isn't it? Some kind of monster.
No, human's just a man or a woman. It's a person. It's a fictitious legal entity made up through
No,
government.
I'm talking about a fictitious legal entity. I'm talking that's a person. A fictitious legal entity is the person.
Yeah.
Not a
That's made up.
human. Human. I believe there is a definition out there, which is some kind of monster.
The only thing I've ever seen is male or female, man or woman. That's it. That's what it is in Black's law. Man, woman. That's it. And Black's law is the basis of all English-speaking courts, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, whether you accept it or not, but it's more accepted in other parts of the world currently. Black's law, isn't it?
Yeah, because we now live in a legislative. We're basically getting federalised. We've been getting federalised since 1979 when we lost the last part of the world currency. Everything's getting Americanized. Yeah, you're getting fed certain things for your TV to change your perception. I mean, America had the same thing. I mean, Americans run about thinking they live in a democracy. That's a fucking republic. It's the opposite for a fucking democracy. They fought independence to get rid of democracy.
Still a democracy. But it's
If you go by the terminology, right, the definitions, it ain't a democracy. If it was a democracy,
it's not a democratic world, but it's
it's similar, but the reason why America's fucked is because they all think they're in a democracy.
Yeah.
And they think that federal law is the be-all end-all because that's what a democracy would have it as. Yeah. Whereas the states can all consent and unconsent. They don't have to consent to everything that the federals do. You know,
But
at the end of the day.
do you ever be concerned of the federal law system that protects people, that benefits people, that keeps them safe in their homes, keeps you safe in society? You know,
of course, but then that's all down to the exact same similar thing to actually Parliament. It's down to the individual to consent because nobody has control over the individual.
Necessary
For us, no.
It's for the Americans.
It works for them. Well, it did work for them
Exactly.
up until they started changing it. You know, up until they started going into the corporation side of the things, which treats everybody as a business, and therefore everybody must comply under personhood.
But it's
You know?
confusing under federalism when you can do one thing in one state and it's perfectly legal, and then it's illegal if you cross their borders.
It's not
That's-
really, because it's the same in Britain. It's the same as like as you do something that's legal in England, it's no legal in Wales. You do something illegal in Wales, it's no illegal in Scotland.
Well, when you
Northern
look at
Ireland,
the
even
intricacies,
Northern Ireland's even better. They've got different brewery laws. So if you drink Tennent's or British like brewed beer, and you go to Ireland, right, Northern Ireland, you'll get a stronger beer. It'll be a higher
for
percentage.
instance, you could walk across America, start in one state where open carry is legal, and then you would walk across maybe 15, 18 states where it's not. Well, you'd walk across 15, 18 states, and a certain percentage of them, it's not legal to open carry.
Yeah, but I could be out with a crossbow in the borders, doing a bit stalking, yeah, and I might get lost on my map, yeah, and cross over into Scotland, and that crossbow could get me to jail now, because you're not
Cross
allowed
over
to
to
crossbow in
England.
Scotland. Of course, but Scotland to England, there's no difference between state, is it? You know, because we're United Kingdom, they're the United States of America. Scotland is a
varying
state.
laws which change as soon as you.
And
head into Scotland.
there is up here too. Well, it's slightly less now, but if we go back to when I was a child, the difference between English law and Scots law was poles apart. We are now so closer now because of
of the
various-
influence of the EU politics on England for so long.
Well, there is that, but I mean, Scotland implemented civil law first, and the criminal law, which is a completely EU-based law. You know, I mean, you probably really comprehend that more than most. You know, so England, you're getting it all anyway because you got told every European law get made into statute law, which is the same thing they did up here.
Yeah,
and that's how we got fucked. That's how we got. That is how we got fucked. That is how we got dumbed down. That is how we now literally, if we say the wrong thing at the dinner table, we are getting arrested if we offend one of our children.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
If one of our children tries to attack one of its siblings with a hammer or a knife, or even its mother or father, right? One of the parents is not allowed to bear hug that child, so they can't swing the thing about whilst they lose their rage or anything like that, because you will be charged as the parent.
Yeah.
They try to implement a thing down here which is coming to you. You'll be able to find it in the forums when they're talking about it, right? It's called named person, right?
Yes.
Now you want to go and look at the shit that was. All they had to have was one person who fought something, and you were fucked. They need no evidence that you had done anything wrong, anything.
Yeah.
They can now take our children away from us at school.
Give us an example. Give us an example of something where it's been used so far.
It's been used so far to force parents into doing things they didn't want to do, or some people would say they don't need to do. It takes away the responsibility for the parent away. It gives teachers, doctors, anything that they say is a named person, and every child has a named person. Now, it got stopped in Scots law. Yeah, it was really horrible. We went really after everybody, and when
you
they
know
stopped,
why it was introduced, don't you?
My own opinion, I don't know fully, but my own opinion, it was to split the family unit and to take all rights and responsibilities away from the parents.
Partially.
But there might have been a little bit more to that.
Yeah.
When I read it, I was
to make medical professionals and education professionals have a greater voice within the courts of a family court or a legal court. It was to give them almost as much say on the child's welfare as the parent.
Aye, it was removing. It was removing.
Horrific.
Aye. It's crazy what stuff these folk come up with. Now, it got rejected in Scotland, guys, right? It took about 4 years with folk heavy campaigning. Now, you probably didn't see this down south because they wouldn't have wanted you to see this. It was 4 years of heavy campaigning because we're the test bed for everything. They test it on the Scots.
Yeah, you are.
You get away with it up there? Roll it everywhere. Roll it everywhere. They take that shit. Everybody will. Right? You know what I mean? Because we're probably the most argumentative folk on the planet.
Yes.
You know? And what they did was, right, the age of criminal responsibility, right, was 9-year-old at that point, right, when they tried to get this through. So when it got rejected and the whole country was up in uproar, they went, fuck you, right? They then chucked it out. Well, they put it back for like kind of a couple of years. They keep it in the long grass, try to pull it back out every now and again, right? Still got the same responses. So eventually they said, right, we're binning that idea. And then, wait for it, then what they did a couple of weeks later is they went, right, the age of criminal responsibility, we're going to raise it to 13, and you're not allowed to hit your kids anymore. You're not allowed to restrain your kids anymore. So what'll happen is, you'll have the 9-year-olds that used to be getting charged now for being little so-and-sos, seemingly, as they like to call it. They're not going to get charged to their 13 again, which means the parents are going to have to do all of that kind of parenting, plus learn teaching them, the right for wrong, without any way of controlling them. That's just a way of punishing the parents, and to give them 4 or 5 years of fucking shit where they're begging them to put in name person.
It's disenfranchising the parents from the children. That's what it is.
They're literally teaching kids now that you can get your mum charged. You can get your dad charged.
Yeah. Well, they did this in America years ago where they allowed children to divorce from their parents. That was the start of all this.
That happened, but that was kind of wee, I think, in the mid-90s.
What's the name of it? It's called something where they can divorce their parents, as a particular word, which I've always found funny. The word. Anyway, I think there's a fan of yours in the chat today, Joe. He's on screen.
Oh, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, I'm not going to read that out.
Oh, that's cool. the only difference is I'm bad for the pub, eh?
Yeah, you're not allowed in a pub in fucking Scotland.
No, man. You need to get me. You need to get me outside in the bus stop smoking a fag, bud.
But we know this is happening. It's. You could argue it and discuss it all day long and see all the cues for it. But clearly it's happening. The book, The Long Trot March Through the Establishments, the overriding sort of idea of that was to change an entire nation, an entire population. And where do you start? With the fucking kids. And how's the only way you can do it with the fucking kids? That's if the parents aren't involved, if the parents don't have a vested interest in them, if the parents know they're not allowed to criticize their own children's opinions, for God's sake.
Yep.
And that's where we are. That's what your named person is. Don't fuck with your kids. Don't argue with your kids. Don't upset them.
Yeah.
They'll ring the authorities.
For me, it's Mein Kampf, the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, no, because it's not.
I remember this
not.
little.
No.
Sorry, I was going to say I remember this little snippet from a few years ago, when for a short time the curriculum in the US had children informing their parents that they shouldn't be leaving the tap running or the fridge open.
Yes.
And then it changed to they'll inform the school of that
God,
instead of their parents and so forth. And then they decided to pull that.
I remember on television, not on television, but I saw it in videos of a girl teaching her mother how to eat properly, how to look at a more vegan lifestyle. It's horrifying.
Yeah. That they've been doing it up here. We've had hangways where you've seen they teach kids that Granny's trying to kill you because she puts too much salt in the soup.
Well, yeah.
And what was the other one? They did a thing for anti-piracy for a while, right? The SNP in the schools, and they put kind of the Muppet Show kind of Muppets, right? And they had a Muppet there with big red eyes, obviously a mad stoner, right? And a younger Wayne with glasses, Muppet. And this wee Wayne comes in and goes, "Oh, what you watching?" And he's like, "Streams and that." Ken talking about Cody streaming devices. Yeah, but what are you watching? I don't know, innit? It's just a new film out, innit? And he's like, that's in cinema and all this kind of stuff, right? And they go on about how streaming's bad, piracy's bad, because Vin Diesel needs to buy his socks.
Of course he does.
But they literally, I was astonished. I was like, wow, this is getting put in schools. 5, 6, 7-year-old kids. That Cody, that your Android box, your Fire Stick, Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. And tell the school.
But you know what, Joe? It's got nothing to do with revenue. I get sick of people that say, "Oh, they just want to fucking get money out of it." It's got nothing to do with revenue. It's to do with how the message is delivered around all the advertising and the agenda-driven bullshit. When you go and see a movie at the cinema, or when you watch a video on a streaming device, they need to get their messages across. And if you download that movie elsewhere, those messages are missing. Apart from the ones inside the movie, of course.
Yeah, like Squid Game.
Influence.
Like
they lose influence. They're not interested in money. It's influence.
I mean, there was a great statistic, Vince, about piracy, and this is even gaming industry, music industry. It's like it accounts for about 3-4% of the business in total. That's what they actually project it as. Most people, whether you like it or not, they'll, especially when it comes to consoles or gaming and stuff like that. Most people, if they like the title, they'll buy it.
Yeah.
They'll maybe download it first, test it, right? But if they like it, they'll buy it. If they didn't like it, they don't even keep the download. The download will get pinned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you know what we have now? We have video games with interactive advertising. So you can be driving around in a car on a racing track, and those advertisements are dynamic. They can change. They eventually will be giving you political messaging. They eventually will be giving you the agenda messaging. And it's the same for movies. We are literally a half a hair's distance away from movies coming on stream, downstream, on available to stream, and the posters in that movie are dynamic. They'll change. You'll watch it this week and it'll be advertising Coca-Cola. Watch it next week, it'll be advertising Daz washing powder on the same billboards that the character in the movie drives past. We're at that point.
Product placement, they get paid for it. Product placement's now perfectly acceptable, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. What happens on here? You know, I'm doing a Coke challenge with the Mentos. There's product. I bet that's sold more Coca-Cola than Coca-Cola have ever sold from advertising itself.
It's a good chance, actually.
Kids queuing up to buy Coca-Cola and Mentos to do the rocket thing, you know?
Coca-Cola are very, very bright, though. I mean, remember, there was a thing they did in the cinema in America. I can't remember, it was the 60s or something like that. It might have been even earlier, where they put like the flash message, the subliminal one frame, and it said, buy a Coke. And like literally, something like about 80% of the cinema go up and fucking went out and bought a Coke.
Yeah.
You know,
SG's said this before. Buy popcorn. Used to flash it subliminally on the screen throughout the film. You never saw it, but your brain registered it.
Steganography and, you know, the reaches that this can go is way beyond anything. I mean, you know, just watching advertisements, right, works. The most sold products in the world are the most advertised.
Yep.
That's a fact. It works.
There's one advert not that long ago where somebody says if you can make a man smile via an advertisement, you can make him do anything or something like that.
Probably. Yeah, I haven't heard that, but yeah.
I can't remember what it was for. I didn't watch much telly, if I'm honest with you, so I probably would have been in like somebody else's house when the telly was on or something like that, if you get what I mean.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean there.
It's just I can't put my finger on what the advertisement would be because I didn't really pay that much attention. It just caught my ears. If you can make a man, I think it was if you can make a man laugh or something like that, or smile, you can make a man do anything. And I kind of looked at the telly and thought, oh, this is going to be an advert about food. And I didn't think it was. I think it was about advertisement. I think it was an advert to get you as a small business to do local advertisement or something like that. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But everybody's controlled by some form of selling, whether you like it or not. It's like, if you work in sales, Vince, you'll know this yourself, right? People don't really buy the product, do they, Vince? They buy you.
People buy from people.
Yeah, people buy from people. You could have the
I'm
best
back,
product in the
guys.
world.
Sorry.
Say again, Vince.
I'm back. I've just had to run out to my vehicle to go and get something.
All right. Did you hear what I said?
No, I missed the last minute and a half.
All right. I was saying that, like, when it comes to sales, we were having a conversation. I'm talking about an advertisement that I saw, but I couldn't remember what exactly it was. It was like, if you can make a man smile, you can make him do anything, or if you can make a man laugh, you can make him do anything. And I thought it was going to be like for a cooking thing, like for Bisto or something like that, rate a man's heart through his stomach type thing. And it turned out it was like an advertisement company, yeah. And I was saying, but then people are always buying, they're always selling. It's like if you work in sales, it's not really the product people are buying; it's you they're buying.
Well,
you sell yourself before you sell.
Let me argue with that, because I work in sales.
Mm-hmm.
When people come to buy from somebody, they do. People buy from people, but their branding has done its job already.
That's a fair comment. It's a fair comment. You've got a lot of brand loyalty as well.
Yeah. The branding and the message has done its job already. When that person comes in to buy from, when people buy from people, they knew what they were buying in the first place already. Yeah, sales is the industry I've worked in the most in my life.
But if it's a product that they never asked for, yeah, and you've went to them, yeah, because that happens quite very often in sales, yeah. The vast majority of sales, if we're honest, are cold sales, cold calling, really, yeah, in the UK.
Yeah, to a degree.
So if you're cold calling, again, depending on who you work for, will depend, maybe on your hit ratio, your percentage of turnaround, yeah, because a lot of people will know who the brand is, possibly. Yeah. But for the average person who's not really informed in various sectors, individual sectors, then it's like I've always said that there's not nothing in this world that you can't make cheaper. Those who think on price alone are that man's lawful prey.
Yeah. When it comes to cold calling, there are other factors involved. And the most overriding factor, if it's a low-cost item, the most overriding factor is trying to help the person make a living as you buy it. That's percentage-wise, that's the largest reason people will buy under cold calling conditions. Yeah. Say a box of pegs, a tea towel, sort of thing.
Yep. And that's generated by gathering empathy. Yeah.
Yes.
So when you gather the empathy, they buy you. Yes. And they buy you, not the product. So it's the exact same thing as what you're saying. You're selling yourself.
Yeah.
Before you're selling the product. They've already made a decision 9 times out of 10. As soon as they open the door by looking at you.
When I lived in Birmingham, there was a blind guy who used to paint, and he would go door to door every 6 months with his little ideas all set up properly, had a charity running for himself and the blind, and he made a bit of money himself. And he would sell his paintings. And as soon as you saw him, you could tell he was blind. His eyes were sort of darting all over the place. And he was genuinely blind. He lived in the area, and he would sell his paintings. And I assume he sold quite well, really, as long as they're at a particular price point,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but that's good too, though, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. This is why we choose particular shops. You don't go to the shop where when you went in there, the guy followed you around, made you feel like a criminal. You go to the shop where the fella says, "Hey, Joe, how you doing? How's your mum? How's your mum? Is her knee better?" That's the shop you go to. This is what we do. We are habitual
sometimes
characters.
That can be the more expensive shop as well. Sometimes it's not about price.
This is just about to say that, Jason. You stole my thunder. I was going to say, and you'll pay more for it.
Yeah, I worked in sales for years as well, mate.
For the better experience, yeah, it's true, absolutely true.
But it comes into brand loyalty.
The science of sales, the psychology of sales is incredible.
The first thing I ever learned in sales is that people do buy from people. It's the connection that you have with them.
The Tavistock Group started writing books on sales techniques and various sort of mind manipulation techniques. There was a documentary in America in 1956, and a company set up video cameras around a superstore, and they watched the customers for 2 years or something like that. And by the end of it, they designed the perfect supermarket layout, and those same rules still exist to this day. So what they learned then, they still implement now, 60, 70 years later. We're very simple, programmable, habitual characters, which ultimately, for me, makes me realize all of our problems are easily solved as long as we accept the programming. And the programming doesn't have to be negative. It can be positive programming. It can be good for the good, you know?
But who
Sorry, I'll go on sometime.
Who programs the programmers?
Well, this is it. This is the problem. There's somebody in the way, Joe. There's somebody in the middle who is altering that software, altering the programming, influencing it for their own good sort of, or rather evil means, you know. But
So do you think it's Hydra?
Navigate that.
Algorithm.
Say that again.
Do you think it's Hydra?
I would assume it's incredibly complex these days. But there are simple things you can do. Get rid of your television. Get rid of the magazines. Get rid of the newspapers. Get rid of your smartphone. There's one of those I can't do. The other three I've managed to do. Haven't read a newspaper or a magazine or watched television for fucking years. I still know what's going on.
Yeah. I don't really watch mainstream media news. I do catch some news, like worldwide stuff.
But in conversation with you, Joe, I know that you are being informed in some way, some of the areas that you've brought up in conversation. And I think at some point it'd be lovely to have a one-on-one with you. Not that I'm saying I disagree with some of the things you bring up, but what I'm saying is sometimes I think the message can be skewed. It can be misinterpreted and almost seen as the boogeyman, which is something I'll always go back to. It's the boogeyman.
Of course, but the boogeyman is because everybody doesn't want to take ownership.
Of course. Your parents told you there was a boogeyman in the corner. You were fucking terrified about it. Why were you terrified about the boogeyman? Because he was going to get you. And what did the parents do it for? Because they didn't want to fucking parent you. So they used the boogeyman to parent you. It's true. It's fucking true. You weren't worried about what your parents told you to do. You were worried about what the boogeyman was going to do to you.
No, I get it. I'm only giggling because it's the same as religion then, isn't it? It's a form of control.
Of course it is. Of course it
is.
is.
The conversation should have been, Dad, the boogeyman's going to get me in the cupboard. And you'd be like, you don't want to be scared of the boogeyman. You want to be scared of the those in the know behind the government that come in and take your rights away. And then you'll be a slave. And so will everyone else forever. So watch out for that. Good night.
The child wouldn't understand that concept. The child just worries about somebody who's 7 foot tall with claws coming to get him, who lives under the bed.
You want to be scared of the boogeymen in the know.
Yeah.
You want
right.
You want to be scared of the Chancellor.
Yeah, you know, like we should have instilled that kind of mythology into this, you know, the child's mind to help them sleep.
In another 10 years, they'll be telling them to be scared of the Greens and the Greys. They're coming.
Well, they do it now. Coming back. They do it now. You know, they do it now. You don't want to be homophobic.
You don't want to be scared of the. You don't want to be scared of the boogeyman. You want to be scared of the SWAT teams turning up outside.
I think these SWAT teams have been generated because somebody's swatted you because they've took great dislike to you what you've said on YouTube 2 weeks before.
Man, have you seen some of these YouTubers get swatted? It's not good, man. In America,
I've seen it happen. There's folk that have been shot dead in America, man.
Yeah.
Like literally because they've jumped up on their couch. You know, what the fuck's going on? Plop, plop. That's what's went down. There's not going on anymore, and it's just been some. There was some dude that got done, didn't he? I didn't actually know what happened at the end of that, but I kind of got arrested like 5 states ago.
Yeah, for like actually calling him out on him.
Aye, for doing the swatting.
Yeah.
Like I didn't care how to do it, but I'm assuming they must phone up pretending to be that individual using the GSM network as a kind of back end.
Yeah, you can't expect them turning up just because somebody said so, because they tend to say, well, look on the live stream and have a look, see what's going on.
Well, I mean, the minute you start brandishing certain words, aye, like Al Qaeda and stuff like that, yeah, you know what I mean? They'll be through your door in no hesitation, man. They've got the powers now because of these bad things that have happened, you know, because everybody was scared and they said, "Oh, aye, that's right, aye, aye." I was like, "Oh, aye, you should be able to do anything stop that from happening," and that's where swatting comes from. It's all the same powers that have came in. It's like the Patriot Act in America, right? Check this out, right? We had a census, right? Yeah, right. Now Scotland didn't have a census, right? We patched it because of the COVID, right? But then Nicola Sturgeon got a telephone census done, and it was weird because it was a London office that phoned me about that. So she did the day jobs for the boys in Scotland and did all the call centre work up here. It got exported into London, right? But here's the hang, though, right? The company that collected the census information, right? Yeah, their parent company is Lockheed Martin. That makes sense. So under the Patriot Act, Lockheed Martin is a military contractor, and any military contractor must hand over all information, foreign and domestic. So technically, when you've done all your census, the Americans knew the information before we did. Because they collect the information, collate it, then hand it to a UK company who then takes the collation to turn it into numbers that can be easily read by everybody else. But the collection point is an American defence contractor's subsidiary company. So the Yanks get all that information before we even do. And that's because of the Twin Towers. It's quite interesting, eh?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't do the census, and that's one of the primary reasons why I don't do it. Because it's getting outsourced to a third party, foreign national, who gets to keep that information.
I went to the hospital to have my knee treated earlier this year. And the consultant surgeon that did my knee, it was only a simple procedure, took about 10 minutes, asked me permission to access my data, my health records. Asked me permission because she wasn't allowed to do it on her own.
Yeah, but that's been like that for a while now. That was set up. Remember, Nicola Sturgeon took all the health records back, didn't she? Because of that system. What was it?
Well, they're owned privately in England. I don't know if you're aware, Joe. We sold them to a company about 6 months ago, and everyone had the opportunity to opt out. You can still opt out, but but before
you did that, you did some other like major change to your system about 10 years ago, maybe even longer. And it was at that point the Scottish government pulled all the records for Scotland back for England. At that point, it was really about the same time as they formed NHS Scotland, because it didn't exist before. That was only formed to ring fence the NHS Scotland, but actually gets less money because it's formed. It's weird, because 13 pieces of a pie is better than one piece that's smaller than 13 pieces put together, eh? But no anymore. And that's why you're now going to attack the Barnett formula, because the NHS is just done by the Barnett formula. It's also done by
what you lose the Barnett formula at any point.
They're going to try it.
And I wave it like a stick every so often.
They do indeed. But the minute you start attacking Scotland, like you attacked Scotland in the 80s, you're going to drive them. The people like me and other people who are, they're no anti-independence. They're no anti-union.
Well, we don't need you politically anymore, Joe. We could just scrap the Barnett formula. We don't need you politically.
Well,
in fact, it's beneficial if you're out of the equation, because you fuckers keep voting for Labour more so.
Well, to be honest, you'll not get away with doing that.
No, I know, but you know, this is the kind of the point I'm making, is that you know, I don't think they'll get rid of the Barnett formula, but your influence, your political influence, is conveniently not required.
But our infrastructure influence is really required, because your water's about to get even worse. And all the water deals that you've signed, allowing your English water companies to now build businesses in Scotland, that would be kind of hangweed. That and the fact that a lot of your good water comes from Scotland. I mean, your Carlin plant, all its water comes from Glasgow. There's a big pipe that goes all the way down there. That's why Carlin and Terence were kept separate in the UK up until I think Carlin got sold by Terence, if I remember correctly. But like all the Carlin water comes from Scotland, and you pay for your water, so that's the reason why we allowed it to happen. Because you'll be paying.
I'm lucky enough I'm lucky enough to live in what used to be, I assume it still is, the cleanest water area in the UK, which is Severn Trent, completely self-sufficient as well, and relatively a sort of a functional system with very little leak, seepage.
Yeah, we have quite a lot of seepage, but like Scottish Water it's technically a public-private company, as they like to call it, which there is no such thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, but we didn't have water meters or anything like that because it's a right up here. Hot and cold running waters are right in Scotsland.
Yeah.
It's the right for you guys too.
It's an opt-in system here as well, but those who always select to go onto the metering system always end up paying more. I can't work out why people would opt for it.
We don't have a meter here because the landowners told the government, "You're not putting meters in. It's a right. They don't pay for water." I mean, what they actually do, right, is we have a system where the water rates are on your council tax form, right? And there's a piece of legislation in Scotland. So if anybody in Scotland, if you're paying your water rates, here's how you don't have to. The legislation for water rates in Scots law is water rates shall be collected under the guise of council tax. So what does the guise mean if it's not the misrepresentation, the lie?
It's an opt-in and an opt-out system.
Yep, you don't have to pay it. It's already prepaid. It's your natural resource, just like the electricity is, just like the gas is.
Yeah.
It's all prepaid. These companies are double dubbing you.
Until they change it, you have the freedom to choose.
But whether they'll be able to change that or no is a different story.
They won't change it, Joe, because the implication for them changes as well. They won't change it. They can't. Once you make it mandatory, there's other rules involved. There's you can't force a nation to do a particular thing.
No,
you can't. You're breaking international conventions when you do so. It'll never change. But they tell you it is. They imply that it is in its advertising and the bullshit that you get through the post. It's how they do it. It's like a parent telling a child, "Don't do that. You'll get into trouble." Well, they won't. But that's what the parents said. You'll get into trouble. But who? Who decides what trouble is? Who decides what naughty is? Going back to my point at the start of the stream. Who is the naughty adjudicator?
I would hope that it would be a consensus. I never answered this question when I came on either, did I? Your question there, I would hope it would be a consensus between your peers and yourself.
That's what I would like it to be.
But I don't think it is that. I think it's kind of just your peers. And that's how there is such a big difference in opinion.
Yeah.
And then you get your government who jumps upon percentages to then sell certain opinions via the way that you just said.
Yeah. Well, God help the person that ever told my son he was naughty, because I've never told my son he's naughty. If he's done something which I could put into the bracket of naughty, I've always discussed it with him, and he's learned from that, But I've never called him naughty. That's the kind of word that can recur through your whole adult life. Naughty.
Yeah.
I've had people say to me, I was naughty as a child, so I'm a bit shit now as an adult. Was it because they were called naughty?
Like I say, the word naughty doesn't really mean what it should. It should mean useless. And some things are just not that. They're just, as we would think of them, normally naughty. But, something naughty is something that doesn't do any good at all.
No.
Would probably destroy something good. And severely just bring things down in the general level.
So Vincent, I take it you're a proponent of, when you say you had a chat with him rather than telling him he's naughty, I take it that chat consisted of, why did you do that? Yeah, to get the reason why, and then explaining why that's not a good reason why, and maybe do this instead. Was that like your
I don't get what you're saying there, Joe. I missed the whole.
Well, when you said you never told your son he was naughty, right?
No.
You've always had a conversation with him.
In the same way, I'd never called him a little bastard, Joe.
Aye,
that's
what
harmful. I mean, right? It's in the same way I never called him anything.
What
I would consider to be harmful to a child's psyche.
Yeah, but what I mean is, right,
the tact that you would have used rather than saying you're a little shit, you're naughty, what the fuck are you doing, right?
He was a little shit
Come here,
sometimes.
come here, you little bastard.
Yeah.
Right? No, rather than doing all that kind of stuff, right? You sat there and you said, whoa, come here.
Yeah.
What did you just do there? Why did you do that?
Exactly.
Why did you do that? Wait.
Yeah.
Why?
What was your reasoning? What did you hope to achieve from it? Has the end result rewarded you in some way? Do you feel as though it was worth it? Will you do it again? You know, of course.
If you got the answer yes, you would then look like, no.
I wasn't looking for an answer, Joe. You don't get resolute answers from a child. I remember being questioned as a child and saying exactly what I thought that person, the adult, needed to hear. He didn't get my honesty when I was a child, not even a 10, 12, 15-year-old boy. I said exactly what I thought they wanted to hear to keep myself out of danger. That's what children do.
Of course, but when
he's an adult, I'll ask him again.
Aye.
And then I'll tell him, I think you're a little bastard. But not now. But no, it's not something you can resolve with a child on one go. It's something that you do over time, and you know, eventually he will kind of learn from it. Is the hope, really?
Yeah, repetition.
You know, yeah, repetition.
So we were talking earlier on about like technically like bits and bobs, right? Yeah. What do you think is going to happen with the energy companies? Do you think they're going to get their licenses revoked just like the train companies do?
No, of course they're not. They're trimming them down. It's all they're doing at the moment is trimming them down to go back to the big six. They'll probably allow a few outliers so they don't disturb the monopolies.
They're already there.
Well, no, you've still got secondary energy suppliers. You know, they've hammered quite a lot of them recently with the fake energy price rises. Do you know how energy prices are going in Russia right now?
And stuff like that.
Yeah, suppliers.
Yeah, but like when you look at the 13 RECs, the 18 RECs, there is only 3 left that are British, and that's one company, Scottish Hydro.
I wasn't aware that there was one left that were British apart from Scottish Power.
No, Scottish Power Spanish. So it's Scottish and Southern. Yeah.
Which is the one English one then? If you say there's 3, who are the 3 English ones then?
You've got Scottish and Southern, Scottish Hydro, which is Dundee upwards in Scotland.
Right. Well, they're such a small producer. I wouldn't even put them on the.
And Southern Electric, Southern Gas, and that.
Right.
Down in the. I think it's down the east coast, just off London, if I remember correctly. Because everybody else is either French, German, Spanish.
Yeah, of course.
They're all gone.
Yeah. That's by design, though. It's by design. It's the ultimate way to lose the responsibility. That's why our bins are emptied by a company, and that's started in France.
I didn't even know. Right?
You can't blame the council anymore. Simple as
that.
No.
I didn't even know that we now have a line for electricity that's literally just opened up between Britain and Norway, I think it is.
Yes, I've read about this. I don't know any more than that. Yeah.
We're now importing electricity. Now think about this, right? They're telling us, we need to get rid of the coal fire stations, right? Yeah. We're now having to import them.
Who's building them right now? Every other fucking country. France are building them. China's building them.
Yeah.
It's the cleanest resource ever.
Well,
don't listen to the bollocks about carbon poisoning.
No. I've said this many times. There's a place called Longannet. They've just they've not that long finished blowing the thing up, right? Yeah, you would have seen the big tower come down in the 80s before Maggie shut down all the coal mines and then flooded them in that area, like the 34th. She flooded them too, so they couldn't be used again, right?
Yeah.
They tell you it's so they can get more coal, but like that's going to take 50 million years, guys. And they want to flood all your mines too. Right, you get it's their math, no mine. You know what I mean? They want to flood all your mines too. Once they're flooded, you'll never use them again for anything.
Of course you can. We did this before. How do you get rid of water?
Well, you can pump it out, obviously, right? Yeah. But when you're talking about like,
what happens when you put water in? What happens when you put water in?
Well, it keeps the coal.
It preserves the cavity.
Preserves the cavity. Aye, you can do that. You can say that too as well. Aye, but
that's why they flood it. You can't leave it empty.
Well, you can if you fill it with compressed air. If you fill it with loads of air and you put an air bubble in there, and then when you cap it, you seal cap it. And it is possible because the tunnel for Carradine to Kouros
It's no flooded, mate.
On
And it's
very
not.
small distances, maybe on a very
Well,
small
That's
scale.
going across the Forth, the Firth of the Forth, and that's where
Yeah.
the mines are. So it's like when they built the new Queen's Ferry crossing, that was nothing more than a arm flexing exercise, because they could have used the exact same tunnel that's like, Gold Rush bunker trucks. You can get one down each side, 2 lanes. They could have just used that. It would have been easier just to refurb that, and it would have took you out pretty much the same place at Corus, which is where the bridge goes. Yeah, it would have just had to start a little bit earlier at Caradon rather than Queensferry. But it didn't have the Queen's name in it, Caradon. And it's more known for coal and monks and whatnot, And a certain disgraced man who went to NASA, Lord Hamilton, who didn't pay his debts and all that kind of stuff, which is why Blackness Castle and Kinneil House lie in shit state.
Right.
That's the guy that went to quell the slaves at NASA.
I don't know anything about, and that's all you mean.
Aye, I call it NASA.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was clarifying there. But yeah, I don't know anything about that.
You ever seen the series Black Sails?
No.
Well, that explains it. Well, Black Sails, Lord Hamilton, the poofter.
I highly recommend Black Sails.
No offence if that word offends anybody, I do apologise. It's just the easiest way for me to tell.
I'll allow that one. I'll allow that one, Joe. If you use the other one, then
I'm never going to explain that again, right?
Yeah. No, one time is enough. I'm not going to get into it, but I was trying to explain how certain words are demonised that much that they're actually worthless. And Well, it started with whose interpretation of racism, whose interpretation of sexism, and whose interpretation of homophobic. So you've proven my point. It's, who are we to judge? That was my point at the start.
I didn't. It's the same as when it went down. I didn't bite about it. I didn't greet about it. I didn't do nothing about it because I was like, maybe I suppose I.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Be honest with you. It doesn't affect me. Somebody uses a particular word. It's their business essentially. But I just worry about the YouTube aspect. That's all.
James, I think his name was James. No, Jason. Sorry, Jason Jai. I think it was. He had said to me later on, a couple of days later, and I did say to him, I says, "Look, I get where you're coming from, but like you're asking me not to be me at the same time, like how I explain things, how I bring it across."
But being you is only possible if you're taking into account other people, isn't it?
Of course, but that's
you don't
why
live on an island.
Of course, well, technically I do, but but no.
He'll
but
argue anything, this man.
That's why I do take into people's other perceptions, whether I like it or not. Sometimes it's after the fact, yeah. But that's why I didn't bite 9 times out of 10.
Yeah,
I try and
that's
you know what I mean, because it's just because I viewed something as one way, and that's why I always say perception is reality too. If you get what I mean. I mean, never mind. You can, but I try not to bite at most things, even if it doesn't concern me. If you get what I mean, because it's like I say, words are powerful, and perceptions being different. Everybody's words or powerful words are different as well. It's a bit like sarcasm, if you get what I mean. You know what I mean? Like the penetration levels, it'll always be different. But like I say, it was never meant in a. No,
I know that,
kind of like
you're a vocal person. I get that. I would never hold that against you. Hold the Scottish bit against you, but never.
Well,
never your
believe
words.
Believe it or not, I'm actually only a quarter Scottish, a quarter English, and half Dutch.
That explains everything. That's why I like you. My God. That's why, Joe, I knew there was something amiss somewhere in your genetic makeup.
My surname is actually an English surname, and it comes all the way from London. That's where my granddad comes from. My granddad married a Scottish woman, had kids, and my mum got involved with like I believe like a Dutch kind of heritage kind of individual, But this is why I've also said things like
we are all kind of a mixed race, whether we like it or not. If you get what I mean,
Of
it's just
course
like
we are. We're all
how far
mongrels.
back do you go? If you get
Yeah.
what I mean. But then
Yeah.
you always hear the analogy: Jesus was born in a barn; it didn't make him a horse. If you
That's
get what I
right.
mean, you know.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. I think all that kind of stuff's amazing, and the easiest way for me to explain it to people, right, is humans have a tendency to separate themselves, and if you look at America, you can see it in plain sight because they're all Latino American, French American, Scottish
All
American,
labels. All
Irish
labels.
American.
Labeled every fucker.
They label themselves.
Yeah. Willingly.
It's all about where they're from, where their
Willingly.
heritage is from, if you get what I mean,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Right? But when we look at other cultures for other countries, yeah, even in America, they're not really allowed to keep that heritage, are they?
No.
Because that heritage is deemed as different or
Well,
indifferent.
they did a study of African Americans in America not long ago. They never released it, or at least they didn't release it mainstream. It was something like the tiniest percent, 0.001% of all African Americans had ever been to Africa.
Aye.
How do you identify with a country you've never been to? Do you take somebody else's perspective on that? Do you take your parents' views on that? Because the parents never went there either. You know, so how do you identify with a country where you've never been? Forget colour, forget whatever fucking colour anyone is. How do you identify? Do you identify as half Dutch, Joe? Tell me about your Dutch past.
Well, I heard if you're no Dutch, you're no much.
It is Dutch that you said you were half, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Half Dutch.
yeah. Aye.
I mean,
well,
what do you remember about being Dutch? What's in your conscious about being Dutch?
Nothing.
Exactly. Fuck all.
Zero consciousness.
Yeah, zero.
But then if you look at America,
identity for you in a nutshell.
Yeah, but if you look at America, right, the African Americans will say they associate themselves that way because they were ripped away from there all those years ago and all that.
Of course. Well, they could all unrip themselves back, couldn't they, if they felt strongly to do so? Why don't they feel like Americans? Why don't they identify as Americans? I would, regardless of what colour or whatever.
One of the first things you have to do to become an American, I believe, is ditch your national passport.
Exactly.
So it's part of terms and conditions to become American.
What's the word? Disavow yourself from all previous nations. Yeah.
Yeah. You're supposed to forget where you come from.
Swear allegiance to the flag.
And welcome to the new world and the new land, and you're your new person.
Look back, folks. Keep looking forward.
Become assimilated, not assimilate us. That was always the and I think that's where migration turned, and where there's quite a bit of negative feeling out there for migration, especially in the quantities that it happens, especially in America, where with Biden stopping the wall and then basically saying it's a free for all. I mean, they've had a torrid time in the migration, just like we have with the dinghy divers.
Yeah, isn't it strange that it's all happening all across the world at the same time? How very, very sort of strange that all of these things happened all at the same time.
Well, if you think about it, there's probably one of three reasons for that.
It ain't strange.
You know, there's one of three reasons for it. One, it's orchestrated, by governments that are sending them, right. Two, it's orchestrated for big rich people, that pay a lot of things like Black Lives Matters and various other things. There's been rumours that I can't remember the guy's name, Soros.
Yeah, be careful, Joe.
Sorry.
Don't talk about cupcakes in this room.
All right. Or three, they're doing it all by themselves. But I think the last one's probably the least probable. If that
they
makes
never
sense.
wanted to come before. They couldn't give a fuck. They were happy in their own countries. Every time you saw a photograph of them starving to death and they're struggling for food, they were as happy as Larry. More smiles on their faces than ours.
But something had to change, There has to be a change. There has to be a common denominator to make that switch.
They were invited.
Well, there is that.
It's like asking your mates to come around for a party and there's free beer. Of course they'll fucking come.
That's a fair comment.
How many mates of yours would turn up if you said bring your own bottle to a party, Joe?
I don't know.
Versus how many of them would turn up if you put on the invitation free booze?
If you put on it free bar, probably fucking everyone and probably about five times more would come. They'll probably come with like 5 pals each,
Yeah, they'll bring the girlfriends if it's free booze.
Yeah.
I only go to weddings when it's free food and beer. Well, I know generally you get free food, but I only go to a wedding when it's free booze. I don't even drink. This is the mad thing. But I'll only go when it's free booze. Because it's a raucous party. Have you ever been to a wedding where you have to pay for your own booze? They're shit. People stay till about 7 o'clock in the evening and fuck off home. There's no party goes on at a wedding where there's no free booze. It's not. Simple as that. They're shit. Offer free booze. Now that's a party. I don't even drink. I have a couple of half bitter shandies just to show I'm competing. I'm in the sort of the mindset of everyone else. That's a real party. That's what they're coming for, the real party.
It's a fair comment because they seem to get more money than what people that have fell on hard times here do.
They do. They're well catered for. They're being favoured. They're being favoured over the indigenous peoples. And through my history and through my life growing up, I was always told the indigenous peoples trump everyone. You've got the Aborigines. You've got the Red Indians. What other displaced nations have we got in the world?
Is it Inuits? Like the last?
Well,
yeah,
kind of. The money went there, yes, but those people are still working. You've got the area between India and Pakistan, or the displaced people there. You've got Myanmar, where all of the Muslims were displaced. For reasons we won't go into either, because that was a different thing. But she was given a Nobel Prize when she came along. Yeah. She transformed that country. She made it. Is it Seon King, whatever her name is? She was labelled an angel until she decided to get rid of the rapists and the murderers. And now, she's been arrested. She's been held in a political court, and she's no longer the sort of the Nobel Peace Prize winner that we all knew.
She was hounded before she got into power too, wasn't she? She was already been in jail in the past. She was an
activist, but she wasn't. Maybe she was in prison, but she was imprisoned by the boogeymen, not the real.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. She was a political prisoner.
Seon Key. Well, I can't remember her name.
So she would have been the person that we would have big up.
Of course. Well, these were the people that we were meant to fight for. Same as Nelson Mandela. Let's not go down that line, Joe. Same as, freedom fighters. These were the people that were protecting their heritage, their nation, their nationalism, their peoples, their cultures, their traditions, their history, their habits. In this country, you fuck all that. You can fucking bollocks all that. Get rid of all that. You don't need it. Doesn't identify a nation. None of that identifies a nation. Go and have a curry. Sorry, Joe. Sometimes that can be really.
That's our national meal now.
Of course it is. Of course it is. It was even invented here, Joe. Balti. It was invented on a road I used to live about Cannon Hill Park. It's a restaurant facing Cannon Hill Park where Balti was invented. I used to live 2 streets away from that in a place
we
called
certainly didn't perfect it, though, did we?
Didn't what?
We didn't perfect it, though.
Well, I like a Balti. Am I being programmed? I love a Balti. In fact, lamb Balti. Every single time. If I go to a restaurant, I'll have a lamb Balti. If I have it at home and have it delivered or pick it up, I have a lamb Balti. Am I programmed, SG? Am I a child of the programming? Have they succeeded with me?
Well, your taste buds do program your mind, I suppose.
I'm kind of boring when it comes to these things. I have a very addictive personality, not with thankfully any destructive elements, but when it comes to food, if I find something I like, I'll eat it forever. If I like a bit of music, I'll listen to it for a year and a half. If I like a movie, I'll put it on 3 times in a year. I do have a bit of but we all do, I suppose. It's familiarity, isn't it? It's that comforting element.
I've watched movies 3 times in a row.
In a row? What do you get from that?
Well, one time I watched the movie, right? Then I went to the cinema and watched the movie. Then I come home and watched the movie.
And what movie was that? And didn't he see Dirty Dancing?
It was probably Big Boy 6, the Revenge of the Dong or something.
What?
Was it? Revenge of the Dong.
That one.
Yeah, Big Boy 6.
What cinemas have you been going to?
Danny Goes Deeper. That's what it was called.
Yeah, what cinemas have you been going to?
I go to London quite a lot, SG, I'll let you know. And I do hang around Camden and Soho quite a lot as well.
Oh, dear. It's all gone wrong. I shouldn't have asked the question.
I don't know if do they have those old cinemas anymore.
That's how you know Crinkle, isn't it?
Of course it is. Crinkle runs one of them. Crinkle works in the cloakroom of a gay porn cinema. Didn't you know this? He's the one that takes your coat when you go in there. Your raincoat.
I suspected because a couple of words he's both used in a conversation. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I did think you were Danny Shine once, so I wasn't too sure. So I have thought of that again. Right?
He works in a male porn cinema in Soho. Crinkle does. I've revealed him. What was the movie, SG?
Pitch Black.
Vin Diesel?
Yeah, that one.
Well, you agreed that he needs to buy socks then because you went to the cinema to watch it too.
3 pairs of socks.
Yeah, my mate wanted to see it, and I just finished watching it. And he said, "Oh, you want to get the pictures and watch it?" And I went, "Oh yeah, okay." And so then I watched it
at home.
When I got home.
Why didn't you just watch it at home again?
I did. After I went to the cinema, you see, I could take more in after seeing it in the cinema and previous as well. I've watched movies over and over again for like a week.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
I had to watch.
I don't watch television. There's no adverts, and I can just restart it straight away.
There's a series. There's a trilogy of films that I like. Oh God, it's the 3 where the 2 people meet in the first one in Vienna, and then they meet in Paris, and then the third one they're in Greece. I can't remember what it's called. I'll find it in my movies box. And I've watched these 3 movies back to back, one after the other, whilst I'm working, and I've watched them maybe 20, 30, 40 times now, because I find that both of the characters very familiar, comforting. It's almost like being with 2 friends to me, as sad as that might appear to sound. So I kind of get your reasoning on watching a movie time and time again, but what did you get from the movie the second and the third time?
The things I weren't able to concentrate on the first few times I watched it.
It's not classed as a high intellect type of movie.
No. But there is more to a movie than high intellect, I suppose.
The 3 movies that I'm referring to are Before Sunrise is the first one, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight is the third one. I recommend anyone watch them. They're incredible. They're a human study, each one of them. And it's basically 2 people throughout the whole movie just talking. And did Pitch Black become a favourite movie because of that?
No.
Okay. Because reinforcement will bring our selection, won't it? That's what ads do. The more you see an ad for Coca-Cola,
believe me, I have not seen Pitch Black the most out of movies. Pulp Fiction was one that I did like to watch quite often.
Yeah,
But I think
don't know what
Terminator
Joe's
2
doing.
was one that I really did a number on. Yeah, I must have seen that over a couple of 100 times.
These
about
are
Forrest
not
Gump,
highbrow
guys?
movies. Sorry, Jason.
I said, what about Forrest Gump?
Seen it once.
Yeah, I've seen it once. At someone else's house.
I've seen that, yeah.
I did watch that over and over. I think you notice more things in that as you watch it.
I've seen it once. I only watched it once. I don't think I'd watch it again.
I couldn't disagree. There's so much more to see. Some movies are made to be watched actually on the second times, the multiple times, where you can then find out more. And sometimes it's not even a movie that's considered intellectual in any way. And suddenly you're like, oh, yeah.
The parable is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that. But I don't tend to have enough time to sit and watch a movie another time, if you know what I mean. If I get to watch a movie, it's very rare anyway. And I tend to have it as background as I'm working at home. So I don't take enough in anyway.
I've had movies on as background many times. Sorry about that. Where
are all these noises coming from? Good film, Pitch Black.
Oh, yeah, I've got that synthesizer next to me and I just went and leant on it again.
John O'Connor, no, it wasn't. It was the movies that I've just described. It wasn't the Bourne films. I did start watching those recently. I got to the third one, again, just in the background. I think they're great movies. I think we'll all be living the Bourne life soon, running from authority. Our simple acts will be considered breaking the rules, breaking the laws, if that's a brave way to put it. We'll all be a Bourne character eventually, won't we?
Or also, we could all be zombies, or we could also be cybernetic organisms.
Some people think we are that as well.
Well, all you have to have is one thing, isn't it? We have cyber enhancements. I mean, peripherals all the time. You're probably holding one now, or certainly using it, obviously.
Do you believe all movies are a message to us?
Usually a warning. But a lot of the time they're used as, and we've spoken about this before, but they're used as a blueprint or a goddamn itinerary.
Yeah. Absolutely. I believe all movies.
Orwell's is a specific current, there's a lot of Orwellian type sci-fi dystopian movies out there, and we could probably spend a long time going through those and come up with a lot of correlations between shit that happens every day in like the past decades and decades.
Yeah.
To get towards something like that, unfortunately, dystopias are usually born from a attempted or under the guise of utopia search, searching for utopia, and suddenly you ended up, down the pan, but you ended up here. And it's bad.
Isn't it simple enough to escape an Orwellian or a dystopian world just by not complying or not playing?
Well, yeah, of course, but we're playing along, aren't we?
So it's not a danger then. I mean, that's like me saying to you, look, I've got this machine which grinds meat. This is an old butcher's machine.
Do you want to step into it? Would you like to step into the
and I'm going to say to
chamber?
you, if you go near it and put your hand in there, it's going to get mangled. And that will fill you with a horrible thought initially. But you won't ever go near the machine. That's all it is. That's what an Orwellian world is. That's what a dystopian world is.
Yeah,
until it infringes on you, it's merely that machine.
What is wrong with our world then? Is it that people are walking into the machine?
Of course they
not
are.
listening.
Willingly.
Yeah,
yes, people buy into the system. People believe it. Look at the people driving around in masks, for fuck's sake. 4 of them in a car, all wearing masks. What are they protected against?
Or just one in a car.
Yeah.
someone on a push bike, you know.
That reminds me of the Pink Floyd video.
Well, these things do come into my mind, Jason. I am influenced greatly by the images that have been programmed into my brain. Please don't think they are independent thought for 1 second. But that's what they are. They're a grinder. If you don't like the conveyor belt, step off it. Freedom. Is everyone gone?
No, I'm multitasking, mate. That's why I'm quiet at the minute. I'm doing phone calls. And
Yeah, I apologise. I keep muting myself and having an attempt at comedy on a synthesizer.
Joe started making noise, and I muted him, but I don't know if he's busy now.
You muted him? Why would you do such a thing?
Because he was doing some very strange things in the background. It's like he was operating heavy machinery. So.
Oh yeah, like I can hear now.
Is he back doing it? Yeah, he's doing it again.
I was walking, guys.
Oh, shit.
Sorry, Joe. I muted you there, and you started talking exactly at the same time. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah.
I have power here, Joe. Don't fuck with me, man.
Yeah,
Don't fuck with me. Don't give me none of your Scottish warrior spirit around here. I could mute you in an instant.
I know. I can unmute myself by hitting the unmute button, but I didn't fall for that.
Then you have equal power to me.
But no, I was walking. That wasn't heavy machinery. That was my feet.
Sounded like you were running a combine harvester or something.
No, I'm on loudspeaker. I'm just walking, going to go make a cup of coffee. I'm sorry, I should have muted myself. I'll remember next time.
No. We heard it for a bit, and then I just put it down, just in case you were doing something personal. You know, I didn't want you to. Yeah, Joe, I don't know. I'm not saying you were doing anything at all. You know, you're a free man. You can do it. There's no law against that just yet.
Well, they did actually. Remember, in the cupcake at the beginning, it says that you shouldn't go looking for any new partners, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. They said stay away from that. That's a bad thing. Yes.
Well, that's very naughty.
To the rest of the country, if not the world or humanity.
Yeah.
Was not the words they used, but I think there was some impression of that.
Yeah.
And did you see recently, Joe, not having the cupcake? If you get the results of not having the cupcake, then your penis reduces by 1.5 inches, which, as we found out the other day in that study we're finding, Shorty, this is something you shouldn't be risking.
It's certainly something I shouldn't risk. God damn it.
Are you below average then, SG?
But it's going to affect
I'm just more on the comedy line.
Wait.
To be honest, with all my
comments. Confused me. You just confused me there, right? What did you just say?
Okay, let me simplify
if you do not have the cupcake,
if you catch COVID, let's say it once. It's okay to say it once. Your penis could possibly reduce by up to 1.5 inches as a result of catching.
So does the cupcake intake
prevent
that? Then?
The cupcake ensures that your length remains.
There's a bunch of blokes gone. Holy shit! I'm going to get that cupcake.
I'm not trolling you here, Joe. This is what they did 2 days ago.
I think I've had it twice, so I'm in trouble.
NC girl has just said if you could post a photograph, she'll tell you whether it's
I'm sure we've all
average or not.
Oh, that sounds like entrapment. I'm
sorry, but even if it's like, you know, you've got a lot to take subtraction from, then you still don't want it subtracted, though, do you? So.
Do you know what we could do?
What an interesting sales
change my middle name to Justin.
Pitch that was. Yeah,
everyone's excited now.
Well, what an interesting sales pitch they said. They said, you know, like, hey, do you think this will convince a bunch of men to do this? I think maybe it would.
Joe,
you know.
Joe, imagine you bring a lady back to Shea Joe Kerr in a few weeks' time. And you take your trousers off, and she says, "Oh, I've seen you've had the jab."
So it's somebody I obviously know then. Aye.
Well, I think this news story was genuine. It was a
Yeah, but
study.
if the lady was to be able to recognise the difference, yeah, right, aye, then it must be somebody I previously known.
Yeah, you're true. Yeah, she had to be working on previous known information. You're right.
Right, I now I can it. Now I can it's false.
Yeah,
X's are X's for a reason.
Me,
Don't look back. Never mind, go back.
Maybe we should be revolutionary in these panels now. Let's step it up. Let's go to level 2, guys. Let's do a live measuring right now of uncut caked men to disprove their theory based on averages. Joe, you're first.
What? Is this this fear game again? Is it?
Sorry, I'm back. What's going on? I missed that.
Yeah, we're just about to measure penises live on video. SG.
How are you going to do that? No, I don't need to be part of that.
If you've got
I don't want to get shut
ruler,
down for this. I don't want to get shut down for this. God damn it. You're like asking to do something that usually people's channels get taken down.
I didn't sign up for this. If you have a ruler or a measuring tape, we'll accept that result.
And of course, no one's going to exaggerate.
Well, no, of course not. I remember reading a study where men double the amount of women they've slept with.
Yes, I've heard that. And the women take away some of
the women subtract half of the figure. I've always wondered on the accuracy of that. And it's the same for penises, isn't it? Men do tend to exaggerate. And yeah, it's because it's considered unmanly to have a short one. Yeah, we exaggerate it. That's killed the conversation. Everyone's thinking now, have I ever done that in the past?
What was the question again? What was the question again? Sorry.
He was saying something about how 95% of statistics are made up on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a
piss.
They
say. There's statistics, damned statistics, and then there's lies.
Who was it that said that again? That was a politician, wasn't it?
It was. I can't remember. The phrase remains. The name was gone.
It'd be funny if it was Alistair Carmichael Kent. It'd be funny if it was the spin doctor there. He only said it once he was retired.
Yes. Well, they do tend. I don't know if you've noticed, they get far more vocal when they know their careers are coming to an end. They'll get far more controversial. And some would put that down to being experienced. Some would put it down to being closer to God. You tend to get a little bit more compassionate towards your men. You know, I would say it's the former. They just don't give a fuck anymore. You know, they get 60, 65, nothing left to say, apart from nice stuff.
Skinner wasn't like that though, was he? Dennis. He was controversial for day one, I think, wasn't
he? Yeah, of course.
Kept it going too.
Yeah. For a Labour MP, I liked him. There's not many Labour MPs I would like.
The best one I ever heard him say was, half the house over there are criminals. And it got jeered and all that, and he got abstained and that. You can't say that. He went, right, half the folk over there are not criminals.
Are not criminals. Which is acceptable. Which kept within the rules. That's what I said. Keeping the rules. Play their rules. That's how it works.
Skinner was brilliant. He's retired now, and as he might possibly be passed. I can't remember.
I don't think he's died. It's only very recent that he was making statements. I think he's still active, but he's not so. They're not high.
I don't think he's an MP anymore, though, is he?
Yeah, he's still an
He's still
active. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's not long ago I've seen him in the news, but we've had a couple of others that have stepped up to the plate to make their feelings known. But these things never go anywhere, you know. It is literally controlled opposition. It's the same as the people that hold the marches. Never going to achieve anything, you know.
Well, especially if you've got fake marches.
Exactly. Well, that's what we have. Counterfeit marches where, you know, people follow some fella screaming and shouting, and then they go for a pint, and then they go home and watch Coronation Street and forget about it.
It's not just that, though, Vincent. As you well know, facial recognition software is getting beamed out left, right, and centre between just adding laptops to places. You know,
what
3
does
or
it
5
matter if
laptops.
they know where you are? What does it matter?
No, but
they know everything.
We no, but look, I don't believe or disbelieve for 1 second that whatever they didn't want to ken, they already know. If you get what I mean, right? They just need to go and access it. It's mass collected, whether you like it or not, right? I get all that, right? But when you start having mask mandates at the same time as you're training the CCTV, facial recognition software,
refining it,
just with their eyes, total refining
tuning it.
That's a completely different story. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. When you deploy that stuff without telling you they're deploying it, King's Cross, which they just added. They never put new cameras up, guys. They just added computers to the existing network. That's
where does the largest amount of data come from on facial recognition? From the eyes, from the brow, the eyes, and the top of the nose. That's the largest amount of data. The rest is moving on your face.
Yeah.
That's the only bit that stays still.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, when you start using your population like that, that's communism. That's not what we're supposed to do. In fact, there's rules and regulations.
If we're all being watched, Joe? We're watching the criminals then.
Look, listen, right, if that was the case, right, there's more CCTV in this country, right, than what's in the whole of fucking Texas.
Right,
if that was the case, if the CCTV actually caught criminals and caught crime, right, then there'd be no criminals. There'd be no crime.
But I don't do anything wrong, Joe, so why would I be concerned about it?
Because it's not whether you do anything wrong, right? It's what it gets used for that's nefarious. Your behaviour is not the most nefarious part of it. It's what it gets used for.
I understand, but I'm trying to give you my view on this. I'm an activist just like you. I'm probably stronger in some areas as well, in how I feel, I mean. But I don't care if they know I'm watching Big Boobies 6 on the internet.
Of course not, right? I get that, right? But that's down to you, right? But at the end of the day, you're supposed to have privacy in certain areas of your life, right? Right? And if you've got a lot of money, you can get it.
Of course,
you can get
do it when you're poor as well. You can use there's certain software where you can hide your position on the internet to a degree.
Oh, wait, if you're talking about a VPN, VPN, then let's be serious, right? Listen, no. Right, you can hide yourself online, but you can only do it for 12 months, guys. One day over, you're got. That's why all your contracts are 18 and 24 months.
You can use dynamic IPs. You can use.
It doesn't make a difference. After 12 months, you're got. You can use a VPN if you want to. It doesn't make a difference, right? You're got.
Yeah. Well, the point I was getting to, Joe, they have the data from the VPN suppliers anyway. They have that, of course. You think a company is allowed to incorporate a VPN that people can hide themselves in a country where regulations are very high?
No,
the
that's
only way
why
they would survive is by sharing that information with
the
government. Sorry,
and that's why.
True.
And that's why if you research and you do research a firewall called Devil Linux, where you're allowed to actually do all your own VPN, everything yourself, right? It's virtually nigh impossible to find that shit now. You know, because they didn't want you to be able to. It's the same reason why Sky came out and says, "Oh, by the way, you better update your root firmware because we were told 18 months ago it was wide open for hacking to get anybody to pretend they're you." But we didn't update it, but we've done it now.
If the networks of a major corporation can be infiltrated, then even the individual can. And the reason why they want to watch major corporations is they don't want to have products that will be able to enable them to run the world, rule the world, or control it. Everything is watched. It's all very well regulated.
Of course, but that doesn't mean that we need to accept it. It's like saying there's corruption everywhere in the world, but it doesn't mean you accept it.
Why would you care if you're doing nothing wrong, Joe?
That's not an answer, is it? I'm not saying I'm doing anything wrong either, but why should you be looking at me when you don't even think I'm doing anything wrong?
Yeah. The only bit I question is the bit that I said at the start of this stream. Who decides what's racist? Who decides what's sexist? Who decides what's homophobic? Who decides what's hateful? It's the only thing that bothers me. I've seen in Scotland people being knocked on the door. You had a thought on the internet. We're just telling you, what's your thoughts?
Yeah.
They haven't got it here. They can't get away with it here yet, but they have it.
All of these things are stepping stones to that, Vince.
Of course it is.
You know,
and that's why. What's the movie called where they keep arresting people when they have a thought of murdering somebody? There's a particular movie.
Minority Report.
Minority Report, written by Philip K. Dick, who I kind of covered the other day about a lot of things. But one of the main things that was in his talk was his experiences, whatever, with authoritarian governments.
Was he anti-authoritarian?
Absolutely. Well, he was certainly against authority beyond a certain point. Yeah.
Right. I wasn't aware. I've never read any Philip K. Dick. I don't think. I think I read the.
You've seen the movies, though, right?
Like a Big Sleep type of thing.
Seen movies, though, right? Total Recall. You know, Blade Runner. You know, there's loads. Loads of movies actually. There's a new one coming out with a AI that we basically do what it says.
Yeah. In fact, no, I have read
Hawkins Hammer, I think it is.
Yeah, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yeah, Blade Runner,
which is Blade Runner. Yeah,
I really enjoy the book of that one. Although it's better. It's better than the movie, but the movie's better than the book. You know,
always the way. Yeah, it's very.
As in, it's crazy. Occasions. Yeah. Like it is better than the movie, but the movie is better than the book because they're two slightly different variations on the thing.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Yeah, Decker doesn't fancy that. Decker doesn't want to fuck the robot in the book, does he?
Well, no.
And in the movie,
I liked the PC game. The PC game was actually a mix between the book and the movie.
Okay.
I
didn't play that.
I think they're doing a remake.
They did one. They did one recently.
No, I mean a remake of the game as well.
Oh, I see.
Have you not seen the new animation Blade Runner?
No.
Well, yeah.
God, I don't.
Well,
there's
the animation. Two animations that came with I think it was two animations that came with the new movie. Was it one animation? One animation. Blackout, which was the story of the blackout. Which I won't tell you what it is, but that's you can see that on YouTube. Blackout, watch that, and then there's a new series that's just very recently come out, an animated Blade Runner.
Would you recommend it?
Yeah, if you like Blade Runner, yeah, of course.
The soundtrack from Blade Runner is just
Vangelis is. I mean, I literally. I've got ideas that I want to do. I just need a sampler. One Blade Runner was one of the movies that I want to do some stuff with, audio wise.
The recurring theme in my life is that soundtrack.
I actually have listened to Blade Runner as a soundtrack, and I don't mean just the soundtrack. I mean the actual audio from the movie for many years. When I had like mini discs and stuff, I've actually just put the audio of movies on there, the whole audio.
Yeah.
Everything. Screw all this like great soundtrack version. No. Put the whole goddamn thing on. Boom, done.
The sort of the cut versions in the movies tend to have more impact, don't they?
Yeah. I even took the time to enter all the names of each of the chapters. I think it was about 36 or something in Blade Runner onto my mini disc and section it out into those chapters as well.
Well, my story about Jean-Michel Jarre that I'll tell you one day, SG, involves being stood in the same room as Vangelis.
Oh, wow.
And Jean-Michel Jarre and various other people. So I'll tell you that story one day. Yeah, it's Good story.
Where was that? Like a pot shop in Amsterdam?
signing books. No, I was at an after concert party in Tours in France in 1998. Say what?
Toujours Frey.
No, Tours, which is
I'm
southern
just
France.
messing.
Yeah, I know you are.
Always fresh.
It's about 100 kilometers below Le Mans on the route down from Calais all the way down. It's it's an interesting story, but we'll do it. It takes about 5 minutes to get it all out, so we'll do that another time. But right, I'm going to wrap it up, guys, because I have to do some work today. But thanks all for coming. Thank you, Jason, if you're still sort of able to talk, man.
Yeah.
Cheers, Joe.
Yeah, man.
Always a pleasure to see you, man. You always provide some incredible knowledge, logic, and you know.
I was coming on for the comedy relief day. Do
you know what? I'm so pleased you say that, because I always go for the comedy angle. That's all I ever go for. That's a bit, really. It brightens my day, you know. And of course, to the master of live streaming, who I'm always I'm very honoured every time you come on. I'm very pissed off when I know you're around and you don't come on, but I'm very honoured when you do. I know when you're avoiding me, SG.
I'm not avoiding anyone. I just haven't got to them yet.
So I'll bid you all farewell, guys. I'm going to finish off now and go and get some work done.
Yeah,
man.
Okay,
All right.
Cheers.
Catch you later.
Cheers, guys. See you soon.
See you later, SG and Jason. Bye-bye.
Yeah, see you.
Bye. Bye now. Thanks, chat. Thanks a lot. I'm going to have a read through your comments for a second now. I know I've been highlighting most of them. Hey, Sparky, how you doing, man? Sparky, I need to come and have a chat with you on your live. We've not done that enough at all. I like you and want to get to know you a bit better. Had a funny conversation with Cop earlier. I popped in to see Cop on his live at about 3 o'clock in the morning after I'd woken up after about 8-9 hours sleep. I went to sleep very early yesterday for reasons I don't know. I just put my head down for 5 minutes, got 9 hours in. Cop tells me everyone thinks I'm a police officer, and apparently that rumor is spreading through the panels like wildfire, which I was surprised at. So I'd like to say right now, if anyone's clipping, I am not a police officer. But yeah, I'll come and see you soon, Sparkies. And thanks everyone else for coming, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, guys. Love you all.